Hey everyone, welcome to The Keep. This is our second time streaming. It's a success. We're very excited. Real quick, we've got a couple of quick announcements before we jump into the game. Today I'm going to be trying out Sirenscape for some of the music and sound effects, and we'll see how that goes. Be patient with me, I'm still learning the program, but it should be a lot of fun. And then Jay, there's something you wanted to mention also.
Yeah, we are actually up on YouTube now. The Keep RPG, all one word, and you can find that on YouTube. You can stream it on your iPads, iPhones, whatever. So, but yeah, we are up and rolling.
Awesome. So we'll go ahead, we'll jump into some of our character introduction videos, and then meet you right back here for the game. The world around you is a page in a book, and everyone goes about their day-to-day business writing the stories of their lives. The way those stories intersect and interact fill the page with an epic tale. Now, a book is made of many pages, and each of those pages is a different world. Where the pages lay flat together, a bold character may jump from one page to another and enter a world both similar to and different from their own. The Sanctum, and others of its kind, make that jump safe and stable, and leave the door open for that character to return home. The Sanctum is an empathic entity, a sentient being that sustains itself by creating and growing these pathways between worlds. Its extraplanar hub and portals are anchored and guarded by keepers, and fed and sustained through the efforts of runners. It thrives off stories and songs, experiences and impressions unique to the worlds it can access. An isolated sanctum, unable to reach out and deprived of any interaction, withers to a fragment of its potential and ultimately shrivels to death. This is the situation our heroes have found themselves in. The sanctum is under attack, and in an effort to hide, Owen, the sanctum's partner and head keeper, has divided and scattered the journals that hold the Sanctum's accumulated knowledge of other worlds, cutting it off from all outside interaction. Our heroes, runners of the Sanctum, are tasked with finding and returning the lost journals to the Sanctum's hub and restoring it to its full glory. But this task may not be as easy as they hope.
A blacksmith first and a fighter second. Doran Runheim hails from the dwarven citadel of New de Villiers in the Markheim Mountains. A dwarf of simple pleasures, Doran enjoys smashing things with a hammer, drinking ale, and of course he can be found getting into trouble with his team. The only son of a small family, Doran learned to stand against condescending scions of larger families from an early age, which left him with a long-standing distrust of politics. After a tragic accident in a deep mining shaft, Doran resolved to be skilled enough to protect others, in addition to devoting himself to his family's heritage and craft to try and raise his family's status. In the advancement of that craft, Doran discovered an ability his family had thought lost, the ability to imbue normal items with extraordinary magics. As his family's fortune fell, he set off to spread his family's name and reputation, and to rediscover his heritage.
Raised just outside the elvish city of Tor Elm, the capital of the Wood Elves in the heart of the Mirth Wood, Halberd thrived as the second of 4 children. They spent just as much time having adventures in the forest as they did in the city, and Halberd became very familiar with that terrain, especially when moving stealthily to sneak up on his siblings. As a young adult, Halberd and his brother both put their forestry skills to work in the military. They joined the Adskabak, an elite fighting force that worked to defend Mirthwood's borders from all monstrosities and invaders. Shortly after his acceptance into the Adzabak, the love of his life agreed to become his wife and soon gave him 2 beautiful children. Halberd was blissful, but it would not last. His unit was transferred from their standard position to a distant posting. The group was ambushed, betrayed by their own people, and, except for Halberd, entirely wiped out. The sole survivor, Halberd returned to his home only to find devastation there too. A dragon of some kind had arrived and destroyed the town. Halberd's home was gone and his family was murdered. Seeking both answers and vengeance, Halberd bent his skills to infiltrating the government, sowing discord and confusion as he went. It didn't take much to turn elf against elf. As the city fell from within, the dragon returned to destroy it utterly. In his escape to the mountains, Halberd never saw the dragon's form, and thus turned his hate to all dragonkind. He wandered for nearly 200 years, utterly alone in exile, until he rescued a young displacer beast cub from a dragon's lair. Pitying the young orphan, Halberd adopted it and named it Nightbane, and the two traveled together for a few years before being invited into the Sanctum.
The scion of one of the 12 ruling families of his people, Casator grew up as the elder of 2 children. A studious child at heart, he spent long days finding joy in the written word. It was during his studies that he discovered a truth his family had long sought to bury, that they were only relatively new to power and had gained it through somewhat underhanded means. Shocked at the obscuring of his family's history, Casator tried to bring it to light. His parents, and later his entire extended family, shut him down and censored him severely. Faced with this betrayal of his ideals, Casator decided to leave his homeland. In the midst of packing for his journey, he was interrupted by his younger sister, who begged him to allow her to join him. He turned her away on account of her youth, being only 13 years of age. However, he did agree to visit her each year, and in 5 years, on her 18th birthday, she would join him. The yearly visits passed, and the day came, but upon his return on her 18th birthday, Casator found that his sister had disappeared with no trace. Deeply saddened, Casator left his home for good, suspicious that his family knew more of his sister's disappearance than he would admit. Casator journeys now in search of knowledge. Knowledge is power after all, but only for those willing to use it. He quests to find that which is noble and true, and to share it with each culture he passes through, using song and story to influence the world for greater good.
Death is just a part of life, and few have spent more time in its company than Val. When you meet him, his intelligence and cunning are immediately obvious, as is his lack of strength. Born into the mountain tribe of the Kalashtar, his parents left him as a child in order to save his father from a pact with a chaotic deity. He was given to stay with his mother's tribe while his parents were away. However, his mother's people refused to train him as a druid due to his gender, as only females of the tribe were allowed to learn the druidic arts. As a young man, he chose to leave the tribe and explore the world searching for his parents. Unfortunately, not long after his departure, he was captured and taken as a slave by the Inspired, a nation of Dark Kalashtar bent on spreading their influence across all of the planes of existence. After a few years, Val was able to escape through a planar gate into the Feywilds. Whilst there, he encountered the goddess Sayanine. She took a liking to him and claimed him as her own. A few short months later, Tyrek, a cleric and keeper of the Sanctum, recruited Val as a runner. Tyrek and his sister Liren trained Val as a cleric, and for 2 years, he served the Sanctum. As a cleric, Val is used to taking care of his team, but his sojourns into the realm of death have made it difficult for him to make friends.
If you are a good and true follower of Bahamut, then the sight of the Arbiter and his shining shield will be one of comfort and relief. However, if your so-called faith is nothing more than a heresy for self-profit and position, then you should tremble in fear before the Arbiter and his judgment, and pray you do not meet his axe. Soylex was not always the Arbiter. In fact, his calling into the service of Bahamut took him from his family as an infant. Raised by elders in the cloisters of the grand city of Dragenthrone, the young brass dragon lived a sheltered life. As an acolyte, Soylex learned his lessons well, but his true passion was for physical training and the combative arts. He began to pursue the path of the paladin, taking oaths and dedicating his life in devotion to a more aggressive service of the Platinum Dragon. His plan for his life, however, was forever changed on his 16th birthday, when the archpriest declared Soylex to be the Arbiter, Bahamut's chosen judge. There had not been an arbiter in over a century, so his sudden appointment was not only a shock to Solyax, but to everyone else as well. Solyax's new duty would include examining the Church of Bahamut itself, rooting out heresy where he found it. Needless to say, Solyax was instantly isolated, removed from his friends, who he might one day have to judge, and held to a different standard than he was used to. He was not only taught how to fight efficiently, but was forced to study until he was able to perfectly recall the laws and sacraments of the Church. When his studies were completed, Solyax was sent out on his journey, intending to travel from church to shrine to temple and ensure the Platinum Dragon was being honored appropriately. He didn't make it very far at all before he crossed paths with the Sanctum, once again having his life changed in a way he never expected.
And welcome back. As you can see, we have some members of our party who are running a little bit late. Wes will be here in a couple minutes, and he's bringing Jordan's lovely face with him. But we'll go ahead and we will get started anyway. Jumping right into the game. The last time that we met with our heroes, last adventure that we had, you'd been hired as runners for the Sanctum. You'd been sent out, having completed several successful missions. You'd chosen one that brought you to this world, where you discovered Solyax's homeworld had been, or at least this region, had been under the sway of a powerful vampire named Blackthorn. He had been holding a Knight of Bahamut captive, and you'd been sent to rescue him. You succeeded in your mission, but unfortunately lost one of your party members. In your grief, you continued on your mission, finishing things out, and shortly down the way, you met Val, a cleric who was later revealed to be the son of your lost party member. You took some time to explore and to search out the journals that Val informed you had been lost on this world, these sort of keys to reviving the Sanctum and potentially returning home. You spent some time with the party split, researching in different ways, and you have reunited mostly here in the city of Grimhold. Halberd had set out to scout a few days on the road ahead, and you are fixing to set out to reunite completely and figure out what your next steps are going to be. So 11th hour, the day is yours. What would you like to do?
So, reminding those of us who had to bail out last week because we're terrible people.
Yes.
So, are we actually still in the city, or are we on our outside of the city?
You are still in the city. You last night or yesterday, Kazator had been working with Master Corian to repair the Bag of Holding. The evening before that, you had triumphed in this underground fight ring, literally underground. You'd earned a fair amount of coin, sort of replenishing the party's coffers. After fixing the Bag of Holding, you're planning to set out, but you haven't yet. So this is kind of last-minute opportunity to do anything in the city that you wanted to accomplish.
I think before we do head out, I'd like to see if there's a magic shop or someplace to replenish or buy magical items.
Sure. You've spent a couple of days in the city now. Go ahead and make an investigation check.
Actually, I would like to go with him too.
All right. Are you also helping keep an eye out for different magic shops, or are you just tagging along?
Well, I'll help him.
Okay.
So
Also roll investigation then,
I'm not great at that, but I'll do it anyway.
because you already rolled.
8.
Okay.
21.
21. Right. It takes you a little less than an hour
I'm new to magic.
to find the
I'm sitting there with dowsing rods.
little bit, but you do manage to find a magic shop. You find one. Let's see. This one is called the Valiant Vault.
Ooh, sounds fancy.
It is the largest sort of shop that you have seen, apart from when you very first came onto this world, out in Cedar Grove. It is the most expansive magic shop that you have seen here in Grimhold at all. You've noticed a lot more of the shops tend towards things crafted with the hands, different jewelry or armor or weapons, things that are beautiful and ornate, but not necessarily inherently magical. But you do find one, and you do find, you go in, and it is run by a very tall elven female.
Mm-hmm.
She has long dark hair hanging down almost to her waist. Straight, but just gently wavy, very pale skin. There's a bell overhead that rings as you open the door. She looks up from behind the counter. Yes, how can I help you?
Hello, I'm looking for... Well, not entirely sure what I'm looking for, but something of the magic item variety.
Well, you have definitely come to the right place. We have several... Are you looking more for something to strike down your foes with, something to defend you, or perhaps a custom item that we might craft?
I would never say no to a custom item, but let's see how much those... Yay!
Do we have people? Do we have people?
We have people.
If you could.
No.
Sorry.
Also, hi, Mom! I'm gonna say that every time we do this.
That's amazing.
One of the times... So I should be watching?
Oh, yeah.
I think the power cord's on your side.
While they're setting that up, I'm just, for background flavor, Doran's kind of just looking around at stuff, seeing what there is in the shop.
The shop is divided by purpose. So there's a small section of weapons, there's a small section of armor, and there's a shield or two that is contained in there also. There's a section of potions and a section of just random other items. No, you could just come around behind me.
Forgive our shenanigans.
Oh, the shenanigans are what keep life interesting.
I mean, you're right.
If you watch where people go, you get a sense of how the room is set up. Are you thinking with... Never mind. Never mind. Dumb references. Is there like a shelf with components, magical detritus that one might use to
A
make...
while Jordan has appeared.
Jordan! Welcome. We can't hear you.
Hang on. It's possibly my fault?
It's okay.
So yeah, we keep our PG
It may
back
actually
on.
be actually muted. The top itself may actually be muted.
Alright, how do I unmute?
The function and then the mute key. So the FN and then mute.
Where do you see mute? Found it. Nope, now it's muted.
Imitation professionalism.
Yeah,
There we go.
We'll get it figured out.
Alright. Let's see.
Can we hear Jordan?
I'm in.
Testing.
Try
Be
holding
patient
the
with
other.
us. It's a Jordan!
He lives.
Alright, but it's not coming out of the things.
Is the speakers plugged in
Yeah?
to each other?
Mm-hmm.
We're checking.
Yes?
And now for random words.
Oh,
Gruesome.
Random
no.
words of theirs.
Produce.
There's the power cord.
Disestablishmentarianism. That wasn't even a word.
Anti-disestablishmentarianism.
There you go. Evisceration.
This is my
That is the thing that you
Talk,
taught
Jordan.
us.
Okay.
Hello? Hello?
You sure it's plugged into the wall?
Nope.
Week 2, everybody. Week 2.
It is week 2.
Yep. It's plugged in.
Okay.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Sorry about all of that, guys.
Alright, talk a little bit.
It's okay.
Oh, goodness.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's...
He cast a terrifying spell. Oh, goodness.
There we go.
Is that it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's about to be really
Again?
good.
Yeah! Awesome.
Sweet.
Woo!
All right, and we do
Turn
apologize.
him down a little bit. God.
Yeah, I did. Okay.
Oh, man. Sorry, buddy, about that. That was all my fault. I forgot about Tom.
Oh, buddy's nervous.
I forgot the Johnson Tron.
No. Say it. Say
Great when he
it.
doesn't have to Zord on anymore.
Right. We don't have to worry about Wes forgetting his Johnson.
It's the Johnson Tron. Anyway, let me while you go shopping, I'm gonna read what this book says.
All right. So yeah. Jordan, you good?
I'm good.
All right. Where we brought you in at, I found a magic shop,
Yeah.
and yeah,
They're fixing to go shopping.
we're gonna see if there's anything I can get.
I'm sure there are several things you can get.
So what magical items are you capable of providing?
Well, if it's not something I can make myself, I suppose it is something I could speak to one of the others here in the city who are capable of imbuing such artifacts with their enchantment and procure it for you. What are you interested in?
Well, we do have a long way to go, and unfortunately a short time before we have to get there. Let's go ahead and look at what you have currently available.
Well, certainly. This is the same day as... If we want to go ahead and say that you two were going shopping while Kazutor was working with Master Corian to fix the bag of holding, we can
That'll
work
work.
on that a little bit. So this will be your shopping adventure while he is fixing things.
Awesome.
Do that.
Okay.
So she goes, and there are a number of things in the shop that she points out to you. She's very proud of the Trident of Fish command that she has.
What?
It's amazing. It's a large golden trident. It seems like fish scales are etched into the handle, and the leather wrapping has been designed to look as though seaweed has been coming up and around to form the grip.
So the Trident of Aquaman. All right.
Sort of. Yes, actually. But she's very proud of that. She goes around, and there are a couple other items that she shows to you. She starts with the boots of striding and springing. If you're looking to cover a large distance in a short time, this perhaps might help you. And also very affordable. It's only 4,500 gold. Oh, is that a bit out of your price range?
Just a tad. Just a
Well, if
tad.
you're wanting for something a little bit more on the affordable side of the spectrum, there are a couple of interesting items I can offer you. There are a number of enchanted crossbow bolts and arrows of the like if you're more into distance fighting, or perhaps this. And she goes over to the wall and she pulls down a small, like a crystal ball almost.
Mm.
And she breathes a word quietly, and it lights up and starts to float. This is a drift globe. It's very useful. It follows behind you and stays within a certain distance, so you are never without light while in a dark place.
Okay. Yeah, Val's eyes is a little brighter than the globe. And how much would this gold would this run? I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Oh, Tahira, dear. And yours was...
I'm Val.
Val, a pleasure to meet you.
My pleasure.
Well, Val, the drift globe I normally charge...
Like spinning it in the air.
850 gold pieces for. I suppose I could be willing to part with it for, such a nice young gentleman like yourself. Let's call it 750.
Unfortunately, that's still a little out of my price range. To what?
What?
Yeah. Unfortunately, that as much as I would love to partake, it was a long journey getting here, and we've only just recently begun performing services for the city in order to acquire an income. Are there any services that we could provide in trade versus gold in and of itself?
Well, there's nothing that immediately comes to mind. We're fairly well established here in the city. There's quite a network of us who managed to sort of give each other a hand when needed. If one of us doesn't have access to a particular component, one of the others usually does.
That's fair.
If you're looking for something that may help you more in your quest, come look at these. And she takes you over to a set of 5 keys. And each of these keys has a question mark worked into the head of it. These are mystery keys. Now,
By this point, I've walked over too.
it's a fairly weak enchantment worked into them. They're quite affordable, only 50 gold apiece. They have a 5% chance of unlocking any door you put them into. Now, they can only be used on each door once. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but if it does, well, it can be quite useful in the right circumstances.
Now, is there a way to boost their abilities as time passes, or?
Unfortunately not.
Okay.
It's the nature of the enchantment on these. As I said, it's a relatively weak enchantment.
Fair enough. Now, are they 50 gold apiece or 50 gold for the set?
50 gold each. However, if you're wanting to get the whole ring and 5 keys, call it a deal and say 200 gold.
I guess I should maybe look at how much. Oh,
How much you actually have?
Yeah.
I think you have like 1 gold, don't you?
I'm down to 10.
Oh
Well, it's because I forgot about that part.
Jeez.
I had more at one point, but then I forgot that I spent money.
no! You spent a fair amount on potions.
Yeah, I might have. So, okay.
So out of this one.
Do what, Jordan?
The devil's in the details.
You're not wrong.
D&D puns.
Dorn pipes up and is, Mr. Hira, would you possibly have components for enchanting work?
Well, I do maintain my own components. There are a few I may have in excess. What in particular are you looking for?
I'm not really sure. I'm still learning how to do enchanting work myself. I was wondering if I could get an idea of some components that I could use, and if you had any that I could go ahead and buy from you.
Well, they're oddly specific for the type of enchantment you're looking for, but I will say they're usually related in nature.
Sure.
For instance, if you're wanting to enchant something with some sort of, say, radiant damage, you might speak to a unicorn for, a hair or 2 from its tail, or something a little bit more chaotic, you might get the dust from a pixie's wings, things of that nature.
Thank you. That's very helpful. I have a few projects I have planned in the works, and that information alone is helpful. Thank you for that.
Anytime.
Thank you.
You're such a polite young man.
I'm still over in the corner spinning the globe, like pretending I'm balancing it on my finger.
Globe trotter.
Yeah, just.
Yeah.
At this point, another customer comes into the store and you're welcome to browse, but you'll have to excuse me. Do let me know if you wish to purchase anything.
All right.
How do I turn this off?
Oh,
I'll gently hand it back before I break it and buy it.
Magic is neat. Clearly that wasn't in character. That's a different voice.
Alright, well, I think we have at least our price range on what we need to accumulate.
Neither one of us were really prepared to be in here.
No, we were not. Thank you, Don. We'll be on our way.
Do you come back?
We will.
Oh, yes.
Assuming we survive.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
Oh, and I tell her that my name and also that I'm a blacksmith, just in case such work would be needed.
Now, do you do commission work?
I can. I don't know how long we will be here, but later in the future, I'm sure we could maybe use some trade.
Well, next time you come by, I will keep your services in mind.
Well, thank you.
I'm sure you're useful.
Yeah. So you'll go ahead and you head
It's
out.
not to say that you're not, lad. It's just, I had a skill that I was willing to parlay.
Unfortunately, my skills are more along the lines of healer than...
And that's not useful?
Well, not when you're trying to buy magical items, apparently.
Fair enough.
So you'll head out and you meet back up with the rest of the group here in Grimhold. A couple hours later, Kazator finishes his services with Master Corian. You certainly do.
I'm gonna hold stuff.
You go ahead, you rest for the evening. One thing to note, overnight, Zodiacs. Your sleep that night is unsettled. Your dreams are not clear. It's nothing you particularly remember the next morning, but it's not as restful as you normally sleep. It's not as deep a sleep.
That sounds familiar.
You still gain all the benefits of your long rest.
Neat.
And the next morning, you are prepared for whatever you would like to do.
Cool. That's awesome. Well, good morning, everybody.
How you doing?
Well, doing great. Everything's great. Things are great. We should probably go find Albert and figure out what to do about that book.
That sounds
That's
like a
what
good
we
plan.
should do.
Did we set up a meeting place ahead of time?
I would assume that you would get in contact with him with your cool little whoopah thing that you can do.
My cool little what?
The whoopah, like the message thing, but it's, communication,
Yes.
long distance.
He just stares at it, looking at you.
Mind text.
The cleric thing. Yep, that one. Figured you'd be like, hey, Albert, we're coming to see you. Meet us beneath the big tree or something. Whatever. I don't know. It's so early.
We'll go get you a turkey leg, isn't it?
Right.
You'll be fine.
Exactly. Then we should be off.
Alright, I will cast Sending. Do I have that one? Oh, wait. Yes, I do.
Hope so.
Yes, you should. I don't
It's
know
like
if
a
I have it
forever.
prepared today.
I was going to say, have to forever have it prepared.
It's a pretty good one now.
There we go.
My rune's back on the same kind of spots.
You're good.
Alright, I will send a message to Halberd. First of all, I guess before I do that, where are we meeting? Where do we meet?
Well, you're the ones who left him, so what did you tell him when you left him?
We kind of didn't.
Albert, what did you say when you split up with Doran and Val?
I'm going to be checking. I'm going to be heading towards the, I guess, the sense of power that's coming off of these books, and try to see what I can. Make contact with the travelers. So get in contact with me, and I'll tell you where to meet.
Alright, so, I really do too.
So love character.
So, Halberd, I hope I'm not disturbing you, but we're on our way. Am I at?
12.
Okay. Where would you like to meet? We got 2 more?
Does this spell you have limited?
Talk back.
How many words do you get? 25.
25.
While I was moving, in the everything's been directing south, correct?
Yes. You've gone, at this point, 2 days away from Grimhold, heading south along the main road. You're finding the stories we mentioned of the various creatures and effects of the area, but you haven't seen anything in particular for yourself yet.
My response would be strange happenings afoot. Tiny creatures of other worlds now here. Fae, fiends, celestials, elementals. Make haste to the crossroads one day south.
Is that exactly 25?
No, just 23.
It's impressive.
It's almost like he practiced it. I will relay that information to our team, and
Let us away!
I guess we start heading south.
Cool.
Alright. The road south is very clear. It's well trafficked. There are people coming and going, like, both with and against you. Does that make sense? So...
Two-way traffic.
Exactly. It's a fairly broad road. It's easy to follow. There's no even survival checks or anything. It's easily it's easy to go and meet up at the crossroads about a day south.
For the record, Castor's still on a mule, right?
Yes. Because you have your horse.
I'm on Gygax.
You have your horse.
Yep.
He has Halbert's horse.
You have Halbert's horse.
He's on a
and
mule.
you are on a mule.
I mean, height difference we should trade, but I don't
No.
want to.
No. It's a fairly tall mule.
Sure.
Long ears.
Why does have mule? I think I
Because we
don't
couldn't
remember.
find another horse and we found mules, so we got that instead.
Would it work up to the mountain?
I did. Mules are very short-footed.
Yes. Just not fast.
And I am on a celestial warhorse
Paladins, man.
named Gygax. He's
So
great.
you'll go ahead, you meet up about a day south of the city. There's a little campground that sort of forms around the crossroads. There's a minor guard presence from Grimhold just to maintain the peace in the area and the traffic. What would y'all like to do?
Greetings. It's been a little while.
Yeah? How was your adventures?
Informative. How was yours?
I would say formative. That's a good word. Profitable. We got some money back. So this is good.
Looking over them as I approach, would there be anything that stands out that would be notably different about them from from Subex and Case Tour? It's been a long time. And then
It's been about 6 weeks.
A couple of days. So, anything that would stand out that I would need to, that might catch my attention.
Kazator has received sort of a badge of office, a little emblem signifying his journeymanship under Master Corian. That's really the only thing, except, Siliex, would you go ahead and describe the tattoo that you got?
Well, the question though, could he see it under armor? Because I have like the pads and everything else.
So you have it under your pauldron?
Well, yeah, because it's on my skin, so I don't think it would be, it wouldn't be very visible in armor. I don't
So,
think.
no, essentially. Not until you're, I don't know, are you sleeping in your armor?
Depends on where we're at. Taverns, no. On the road, probably yes.
Okay. So no, nothing immediately comes to mind.
Okay, so that's a intriguing piece of bling it seems you've got on.
Oh, he's important now.
Is this the first time we've seen him since we parted to look at the book?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I may have gotten myself a little side job while we were in Grimhold.
I applaud your entrepreneurial spirit, I guess. There's a lot to catch up on.
Yeah. Kazator's super important now. Very important. He's a big guy.
I thought he was before as well.
Well, now he's actually like relevant. And he fixed my bag.
I
You broke your bag.
He improved it.
Oh, so they didn't fix it.
Well,
I upgraded.
We need to start moving south, I believe, right now, actually. There have been strange tales just from the travelers things that don't seem to be of the norm in this world.
Such as?
Well, they've got a whole bunch of tiny little creatures showing up, and gargoyles being in places that weren't there before, the spirits of dead ancestors rising up to protect the family line.
Well, that's concerning.
That is not quite what I enjoy hearing, personally. I believe imps and
So the small
quasies.
quasites, yes, those are demons, yes.
So I've heard tale of things that look like them, but it seems these people don't really have a lot of dealings or interactions. But that's what it sounded like.
Nothing majorly huge or anything, just small.
Tiny. However, I'm sure Valis filled you in. The other book we believe to be in a beholder's lab.
Yes, he did. He did say something along those lines.
So my concern is this is starting to draw attention from either grand beasts or other worlds, and the sooner we get these, I feel the better it would be.
The book is powerful, power draws,
More power.
everything.
Yeah.
So we should be heading out that way
I agree.
with haste.
Oh, let us away.
So I've been able to discern it. It's still heading south at this point in time from what I've picked
It's,
up on.
so it's moving.
Well, I've not been able to know exactly where it is. All I'm getting, all we've been able to tell when we've sought it out is a general pool.
Okay.
So it doesn't
Generally
triangulate.
south.
It's just somewhere south.
Alright, then we should be after it.
As y'all are moving farther from the city, you are realizing it's not straight south, it's south and a little bit southwest.
Southwest.
You have a map, don't you?
I happen to
Dawn, do you have the box on you?
That was actually a question I was going to ask. Would we have put the box in the bag?
No, you kept the box in the bag.
Well, can we?
No, because the book can't go in the bag.
But the book is inside of a box.
But do we really want
I
to
don't
risk
think
it?
I wanted to risk that.
Okay, that's fair.
So I guess I'm carrying the box and the world-ending-ish important thing. Cool.
Don't take
I have an idea that might make this a tad bit easier. Are we like surrounded by people at the moment, or?
You kind of have your own little campfire, but there are multiple other families or caravans or...
Yeah.
You're at a crossroads, and it's a large campsite.
All right. Dawn, if you would mind setting the box down for the moment, and I'll without like fully opening it, making it open to anybody to see it, just kind of open it enough to stick my.
Just have a god presence ready in case something bad
So yeah, I'll stick my hand, touch the book, grab hold of the necklace, and try and see if I can hone in a little bit and see what happens.
Interesting. Make a wisdom check.
Yeah, I'm good at wisdom things. I am really good at wisdom things.
So wise,
So
y'all.
Is it just straight wisdom?
Straight wisdom.
That is a 23.
You're really good at wisdom things.
I rolled an 18 and I have a +5.
Impressive. You, as you focus on the book, you're holding your pendant. Your eyes briefly close, and there's a brief moment where your vision flashes, and you don't see what's around you anymore. It's almost like you're somewhere different. You're in a dark space. You hear voices around you. 3 in particular. It sounds like 2 adults, a male and a female, and a younger male. Make a perception check.
Less good. I say that. I'm modified 20.
Okay. You hear them arguing about the younger male is defending himself, saying he had something to do He had to do it. There was no other way. The older two are scolding him almost, like parents. Saying he was taking too many risks. It wasn't safe. There's been enough trouble already. And then you flash back to your body. Your eyes open.
So while that happened, I wanted to be watching the fellows around.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything that stood out? Was there any attention, noticeable change, opening the box and his interacting with it? Did it elicit a response from those around?
Make a perception check.
I'll take it. 21.
21. You didn't notice anyone in particular focusing on you. They seem mostly focused on their campfires or speaking to each other. It's starting to get a little bit later. People are having their supper and starting to set up their bedrolls and winding down for the evening. You do notice there's a pair of dwarven guards patrolling. Their armor has the tower crest of the city of Grimhold. But it seems pretty peaceful. And you didn't notice anyone in particular paying attention to your group specifically.
And then I'll relay everything that I saw. And I'm not entirely sure what that means, but at least it was a good effort.
Sounds like the book is with somebody. See.
Considering where the other book is, I'll take this somebody over
Yes, absolutely.
a multi-eyed demon.
Yeah, it's not a demon. I know demons.
Tomato, tomato. It's large, it's magical, it will eat us.
True. Not a fiend, though. Oh.
It's a night camp.
Yeah, it's like nighttime, right?
It is.
Cool. Let's do the sleep thing.
If I have time, the best watch.
Alright, okay, Store? You want to give us some where to sleep?
I can do that. I will cast Tiny Hut.
Yeah.
That's what I had.
Oh, I've missed you all so much.
Tiny Hut is very good for keeping all the little insects and biting bugs out.
Mm-hmm.
You go ahead and you settle down for the night. You take your long rest. So yes. Once again, your sleep is slightly unsettled. And this time, there's a brief impression of an older man. You wake up, remembering you were talking to someone, but you don't remember what you were talking about.
That's great. That's so good. It's time to wake up. That's the dream.
Do I didn't recognize the old man or anything, did I? He's not like the old man?
You don't remember enough of your dreams. It's very vague and not very clear.
Okay.
You wake up with the impression of you were talking to someone.
What was it the familiar impression of like the old man that I've talked to before? Or no? Like similar impression?
It's too unclear to remember.
Okay. Oh, that's weird.
Not super pertinent, but I did everything I wanted to do before I went to bed.
What was that?
I wanted to examine the Azer Fire Dwarf Warhammer thing.
Yes. Go ahead.
Look it over and see stuff about it.
Make an investigation check.
Investigations. Yay, this will be fun. Okay. Well, that makes it 9. I want to check something real quick. See if my runes help me do stuff. Nope. Not that one. Not that one. And nope. Okay, so it's 9.
Okay. It's definitely a war axe.
No, that one was a
Hammer, excuse
It was
me.
a hammer.
This is the hammer that you're looking at. It's definitely a hammer. It's sized for dwarves. It's marked with some similar symbols to things that you've seen from your past. Nothing particularly relating to your family or your lineage. Nothing like the particular symbols that you use. But marked in interesting ways. And that's all you're able to really glean from it at this point.
Alright, I'm going to put a pin in that and look at it again later. Or something.
Okay. So you spend some time looking it over before bed, and then you rest. Anyone else want to do anything during the night?
What's our lunar cycle right now?
You're about a quarter full.
Okay.
Waxing quarter.
Alright.
I'd like to take my 4 hours and work with Nightmare a little bit some more. Just work on some of the stuff that I've been going over.
Right. What are you working on in particular?
I'm going to finish off proficiency with the guard.
Alright. Go ahead and make an animal handling check.
We go.
Ouch. Well, not cool. We'll go with 7.
7. Nightmane seems to be struggling with it.
So excited to see y'all. So excited. I'm not as happy when I realise you're distracting my beast.
What was talking about?
As I sit there scritching him behind the ears.
What do you mean distracting? I don't know what you're talking about.
Feeding him little pieces of jerky.
Belly rubs.
All the belly rubs.
I don't know what you mean. Who's a good boy? I don't get it.
We missed you.
You do all manage to take your long rest. You wake up the next morning.
Okay.
What would you like to do?
Go south-ish.
Alright.
I'll take point right
Continuing pursuit.
For brevity's sake, we'll go ahead and we'll say that you continue following the pull of the beacon on your pendants south and southwest, and you let it guide you. There is a point about 4 days south where you feel the beacon lead you off the main road and down a side road. It's a much more minor crossroads than what you had stayed at this night, but it seems to lead into a fairly decent-sized little port village.
Port village?
Looking at it on your map, you see it's about right there.
Oh, dang, we made our way.
Yeah, we're moving.
track.
Good.
Do I happen to know, like, is there any information about the name of the town?
On your way south, you have discovered that this particular region, south of Grimdale and west of the Palisades, is called the Halcyon Lowlands.
Halcyon Lowlands.
South of Greendale?
Excuse me, south of Grimhold,
Gotcha.
west of Greendale.
Palisades?
No,
The Palisades are the mountain range. The Halcyon Lowlands is this particular region. This very fertile valley. As you've been traveling through, you've seen lots of farmland, lots of little hamlets and villages. Very peaceful and very arable. There's a lot of farming that goes on here. You see some livestock, but a lot of farming. Here on the coast, you're approaching the village of Farrendale.
Okay. As we approach the village, do we see like the type of people who inhabit it? Do we see people moving about?
There are a fair number of human,
Okay.
and a fair number of halfling.
Okay. Halfling, interesting.
And as you approach what seems to be the main section of the city, sort of their downtown area, you also see, actually, do you see?
Me, probably not. 12.
12? Yeah, you would still see, because it's very distinctive. A silver dragonborn.
Interesting. Interesting. Like just in the town?
Dressed in blue robes. There's a silver chain belted around her waist, and this in particular is a very familiar dragonborn to you.
Interesting.
Venture into the town. I'd like to take a minute.
and just to go through primeval awareness and just see what might be in this area, in this region, because we've been heading south towards where these stories are coming from. So.
Alright. Read me the description real quick.
I also re-equip my runes again. Just
Yep. I assume you do it every day unless
Yeah.
you say differently.
Okay.
And you've got your standard setup, and unless you change it.
one here, one on a belt, one on my glove. Since whether the following types of creatures are present within 1 mile of me.
Since we're right next to the town, I really wanted to do that. Because I don't think the town's
Huge. Aberrations, celestials, dragons, elementals, fays, fiends, and undead.
Alright. You sense celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead.
Everything within a mile. He senses all of those.
Yes, all within a mile.
That's so
This has the
great.
potential to be really fun.
Oh, can you get direction? Or just...
What do you think?
Okay, I guess.
No, it doesn't reveal the creature's location or number, just that those are all within a mile of you.
Oh dear.
Stay on the alert.
Right. This is...
From Halbert's description of the things that have been wandering around and my research background tended towards celestial and their counterparts, would I recognize, would any of those things stand out to me as something I know?
This is so bad.
Let's see. As y'all have been camping, there have been other people, less so as you've moved south, but there have been other people on the road with you, and there have been stories being told just to while away the time while you travel. Go ahead and make an investigation check to see how much you've heard. And then based on that, we'll have you roll probably history to see what triggers a bell.
Okay. Investigation is not great. And that's a natural 1. Start not great.
Don't worry about your second roll.
So I have not heard anything except whatever Halbert said.
Halbert's called your attention about a couple of things. Knowing that your background's there, unfortunately, you're a bit distracted as you go south, but the things that he calls your attention to in particular, one of them seems to catch your eye, or your ear, I should say. Go ahead and make that history check.
Okay. Counterpart, not 20. Here we go. Still not bad. Total 17.
17. There is a fairly rare type of creature, celestial creature, that seems to have been spotted, and it catches your ear because... Squirrel? What? But... Wait a minute. These are not normal squirrels. You've heard of these. They're ratatosk's. They're celestial messengers of a kind. Your people, some families have used them almost like messenger hawks or pigeons to carry messages.
Okay.
They're not common, and you haven't seen any in a very long time, but it does catch your ears. Wait a second. That's weird.
Okay. Have I seen these since I was on my homeworld?
You have not.
Probably not. Okay.
Nope.
Interesting. Okay.
As we're
You said they're
approaching...
Hereditas?
Ratatosk.
I'm going to move my pain into on the die.
That's fair.
Just
Yeah, as we're approaching, so the village that we're approaching, is it like huts, small houses, like teepees? Like what type of like structure is this?
Small houses.
Okay.
It's right on the coast. You can see on... once you get into town, you start hearing the sound of the waves, and you're smelling the ocean, that salt smell in the air. You're hearing it distantly as the waves come up against the beach. The biggest thing that you see as you come into town are sort of... There are small houses that seem to grow in stature up to 2 or 3 stories and then to diminish again. And as they get shorter, closer to the beach, they get bigger, larger, almost into warehouse size.
Okay. So I will get off of Gygax. And I will, I guess, walk up to the Silver Dragonborn. Say, oh, hello.
As you're walking up, you're not really stealthy
Nope.
in any sense of the word. Your
Not even kind of.
your armor's clanking, you're rattling, and
Loud person.
you're not even within 20 or 30 feet when it catches her ear and she turns and Zodiacs!
Hello, Sarai. Wonderful to see you.
It's so good to see you.
Yes.
How have you been?
Oh, busy.
I
Good.
see that.
How have you been?
Sorry.
Not talking to you. Or talking to something else that has a name similar to yours. Well.
Very busy. I've been posted here.
Oh, that's great. Doing what?
I serve the temple and the people here, and I'm slowly learning some more abilities and spells as Bahamut blesses us, and
I suppose, yes.
it's so good to see you.
So there's a temple here then.
There is. It's still small, but we're growing and expanding, and it's been very good.
Oh, please show it to me.
Howard.
Am I noticing some equivocation signs going off?
How much of the other four was giggling in the background?
That's up to you.
Oh boy. So it's going to be a 16.
16. There's definitely some familiarity between the two of them.
I maintain my suspicions, y'all.
Zodiacs, would you like to introduce us to your young lady friend?
Oh, right.
Yes, friend.
Sarai. This is my traveling companions in the 11th Hour. That's Val and Casator,
It's nice to meet you.
Halberd. This is Doran. We've been traveling around. I'm doing work for Bahamut, checking temples and whatnot, as I am supposed to be doing. As the
Oh,
orphan.
right.
Yes. So if I could see your temple, that would be good.
Absolutely. Right this way.
Yes.
About that. Wilkin came through just a couple of days ago. He was not very happy with you.
Yes. Makes sense. That's because he was not doing what he was supposed to be doing, and I replaced him.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, that would explain it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure everything is in order here, but come, let me show you. Your friends are welcome to come also.
Oh, good. You could come or do whatever else you need to do in the
Tagging along
town.
with you. I've been
Perfect.
sort of the company for a little while, and I wouldn't miss this for anything.
I'm sure you wouldn't.
Second that one.
Yes. So, please show me. Have you heard from?
I'm searching through the bag for popcorn.
Bag is attached to me. Have you heard from?
That doesn't stop me.
Get off.
Val.
Down, boy.
Boundaries. Boundaries are good things.
So, Sarai, have you heard from Elias or Kriv or Anna, any of them?
Elias got posted about 8 months ago now. I've only been here for about 6 months.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure where he was sent, and the others were still waiting their assignments when I left.
Okay, interesting. So they could still be in Dragenthrone then.
Possibly.
Very good. Well, yes. Please, lead the way.
Alright. She takes you off of the main thoroughfare down to the Temple of Bahamut. It is a beautiful building. White stone primarily with a thatched roof. There are blue banners hanging as curtains, beckoning people in. Oh no, we lost a Jordan!
Oh, dunk.
But she leads you in. It is set in kind of a U shape around a central courtyard. And in this courtyard there is a... maybe? Awesome. I got him back.
Cool.
Around this courtyard in this courtyard there is a small group of students. 4 young, preteen and younger, half humanoids, half halflings. So 2 humanoids, 2 halflings, sitting for a lesson. You listen in, and Sarai explains that this is one of their services for the community, teaching children their basic writing and arithmetic, and that these 4 come almost every day. And then make an insight check for me real quick.
Okay. Don't know if I roll good or bad. That's 17.
17. When she's talking about the kids and explaining, their strengths and their weaknesses, bragging on some of them and how well they've progressed a little bit, there seems to be some sadness in her that she doesn't specifically address. But you know her well enough to pick up on this. There's something sort of bothering her. She leads you into the rest of the temple. There are no other classes or teachings going on during this time, but she gives you the grand tour and offers, well, if you're welcome to stay the night. There are some spare rooms here if you'd like to stay.
We'll see how, what our timing is like. We are moving. We'll quite possibly take you up on that. Thank you. Do the kids, you said they come here every day?
Just about,
study?
yes.
That's very good. It's good. It's good for them to learn and get that opportunity.
Oh, they've made so much progress even in just the short time that I've been here. It's very nice to see.
That is very good. You're doing good work here. It's a good thing.
As Bahamut knows it.
Yes.
Well,
Technical issues.
Gotta love them.
Right? It's been all day. So yeah. So it's good. It's good to see you again.
It really is good to see you too, Celiax.
are we starting to see a reg tint to either of their scales yet?
Make a perception check.
I mean, it's been what, 6 years, something along those lines. It's been a little bit.
It's been a bit.
14.
14? Yeah. The scales cover most of it.
Well, should show these guys. We should check around. Be back.
Certainly.
You back now?
Hey.
No, not really.
Very quiet. Jeez, sorry.
And now for more random words.
Random words. This is
Soap. Fruit. Addicted. Chemical.
Oh no!
Volleyball.
This is not where I thought it was going to go.
No.
I found Random Word Generator
connections.
website.
What? So what's going on?
Malicious.
Jordan? Your computer didn't work?
Grandmother.
Jordan, take a snapshot. Okay. Okay.
Alright.
So yeah, we will be back.
Certainly. I can prepare an evening meal. Give me just a little bit, and I'll run to the market and get enough for you and your friends.
Thank you. It's very kind. Very kind. Thank you.
And anytime. So she grabs a sort of head covering and heads outside and leaves y'all here in the temple. What would you like to do?
Cool. So, the book. Any idea how close we are?
I mean, I don't quite know, but how close were you two?
It's been a few years. So
6, I believe, is what you said.
yeah. So it's been to a friend of mine before I was selected to be the arbiter. We were just in the same friend group. So you know how
What type
things.
of friend group was that?
We were all just friends.
Just specifying this a little bit more than someone normally would.
And, yep.
So who was this Wilkin character?
Oh,
Came in a
well,
couple of
yeah,
days.
so he was the former leader of the Church of Bahamut in Grimhold, and he was doing a terrible job of it, so I replaced him. And told him to go talk to the archpriest in Dragenthrone. Because I can do that, so I did.
Good for you.
Yeah, so he didn't like it, but he can get over it.
Yeah, the guy you told us all about.
Yes, that's the guy I was telling you about.
What do you know of this
Yep.
Sarai?
She's a friend. We were in the same classes growing up. She was also taken as a child to come to the church and be raised like I was and everyone else of our friends. And she was studying to be a cleric. She seems to be doing that fairly well. And yeah, so that's how that is going down. Mm-hmm.
So, in the interest of staving off more embarrassing moments like this,
I know not. This is everything's fine.
how does the temple feel about clerics of another deity casting magic in there?
Well, you seem alright. I mean, depends on what you're attempting to do.
I was thinking while we were here that I'd go ahead and see if I could get some directions towards our wayward book.
I mean, maybe just outside would be a good place. That seems.
Why I asked.
This is fair. Yeah. I mean, divination and all that. Yeah, let's just go outside.
What time is it looking like at this moment?
Late afternoon into evening. The sun is definitely going down.
Now, are we still getting like a southwestern? There's not much southwest
not really.
left.
As you've approached the town, it's become more of a general. It's somewhere around you, but it's hard to pinpoint.
Oh, it's in the
Something
town.
like what was
Yeah.
at the
I'd like to find our way to the center of the town if we could.
I agree. I think this is a good call. The people you saw before. Details? Any?
Well,
I'm honest.
The people that he saw in his vision before?
He didn't actually see any of them. He just heard voices.
Okay. And there was like a younger one and two older? So
Yeah.
child?
Younger male. Not kid young.
Okay.
It's not like he was a kid and he was talking like this.
So like
It
teen
was,
maybe?
it's probably somewhere in that range.
Okay.
being a rather young man myself, would I feel like he was close to my age or?
Probably a bit younger than you.
Okay.
How old are you? Like
20.
Okay.
So, okay, alright, so why don't you do the weird, see if you can't get some
Alright.
focus going.
Make my way to the center, towards the center of town.
We really want to do this in the center of town.
I mean, they're not gonna like sit down and like zone out.
We've got, may I
No.
remind you, a whole bunch of fae, fiends, elementals, celestials, everything around that isn't supposed to be here.
Like, no, I agree.
It's close to being here.
But somewhere in this town is the book. And him doing that, so let's go find like an alley close to the center of town, or someplace a little less.
On ninja shrines, as we walk, can I keep my eyes out for anything, maybe like a gargoyle-esque, something that maybe wasn't, was tipped off by some of the conversations some of the people on the roads have had with me.
Make a perception check.
Yeah, so let's find.
Let's go towards the center of town and
not
see
like-
what's there.
Not sitting down in the middle of Main Street. Yeah.
26.
Say that?
I haven't been doing this for a little while.
26.
Yeah.
Alright. One of the things that you do see, it catches your eye because it's just a flash of movement out of the corner of your eye. As you're walking down the street, you see down an alley a little bright spark. Almost like a little static electricity, except larger. It hovers in the air for a moment before fading away, and then popping up again about 10 feet further away, hovering for a moment, and then disappearing again.
So what?
Alright, Joel. I explained what I saw. Keep your eyes open.
Does that sound familiar to anything that I...
Guess what I'd be...
Make a... Make a religion check. Make a nature check.
14?
That doesn't ring a bell.
Nope, that wasn't good. That was a 6.
Not familiar to you. What was that?
I was being silly.
Okay.
I asked if I recognized the stone they were made of. I realize it's not common to this, though. You don't normally see glowy, sparky lights.
Yeah, this is nothing like you've seen before on this world. I mean, you've been here long enough to get a sense for what's normal and what's not.
Sparky, blue man stand there.
Are there like taller buildings, steeples, anything to that nature?
There are, especially the closer you get to the center of town, there are a couple of larger, taller buildings there, yes, and you're heading in that direction.
I kind of want to try something.
What do you want to do?
Oh dear. Right?
So,
I'm carrying the shield. Like, not a weapon, but I have my shield.
by
the way.
casting spiritual weapon.
That seems...
And because I can move, as a bonus action, I can move spiritual weapon.
Right.
Nothing says I can't be attached to said spiritual weapon. So I'm thinking, Mary Poppins this thing.
I want to check something.
I'm gonna die over here.
Jay rolls me character.
Again.
Third one. He's gonna come back as the wife. Right?
Okay. You will notice. When you cast your spiritual weapon, you create a floating spectral weapon.
Right.
It's not actually tangible. Like you can reach and grab it, but your hand would pass through
Oh, dadgummit. Okay.
But when it's
He's having some real...
I was gonna say, when it smacks people, it feels very tangible, so the thought was there.
it. That's there.
Okay, never mind then. I mean, it was a good effort.
Lord, creativity. Yes.
Okay, so we should find like an alleyway, and you should try to hone in on the location.
Isn't this bright?
What time of day did you say it was? I'm sorry.
Getting into evening now.
Like 7-ish or something?
Probably about that.
Alright,
Especially on this side of the Palisades, it seems to get dark a little bit earlier because the sun's setting on the other side of the mountains.
gotcha. Do I see the moon yet?
We'll say yes.
Okay. Then I'm going to find like a bench or something, somewhere where I can see the moon, but I'm not like people aren't running over me.
Certainly. There's a large plaza close to the center of town, and
All the sound effects.
all the sound effects.
Real connectivity issues today. Okay. Tech is fun.
Pause, see if we can get it back.
This is great.
Oh, he's calling.
No, just click.
Okay.
There you are.
Yay, technology!
Sometimes it works for us.
Sometimes it wants
Sometimes
to take
it's-
over the world.
Thank you, GLaDOS. Yes.
Already?
Alright, you there, Jordan? Okay.
Alright.
So I'll find a bench. I'm gonna sit down, do my little ooze.
While he's doing
Start your
that,
meditation.
we are like sort of forming not like a blatant perimeter, but like
Subtlety.
keeping an eye out for things while maintaining a protective stance.
Oh.
ready to go, just in case. Imagine.
Not like
And
ready.
leaning
but-
on the wall
Just in
like
there.
this,
Yeah.
ready to grab the hammer, axe.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm going to cast Locate Object.
All right. Go ahead, and that's within 1,000 feet, right?
Um, yes. If it's in motion, I know the direction of its movement.
Like this music.
Within 1,000 feet.
This is not bad music. This is good music.
This is good music. This is little port town happy exploring music.
Exactly.
Good things.
It's when it changes that when the music changes. Quick save.
We'll see.
Several healing potions.
In this particular case, wouldn't that be the equivalent of like duct taping? Just like.
You cast your spell.
I'm done. Tossing rounds.
You don't get a hit.
Okay.
All right.
Concentration.
For 10
For 10
minutes.
minutes.
We need to do some power walking around the city, the town, village.
Thing.
Just start going.
So, but we do have we had a general direction up until we got into the village, right?
Generally.
All
Once you
right.
turned off of the main road and started approaching the village, it started weakening and broadening. Does that make sense?
Unfortunately. All right, heading towards the ports.
Okay.
If we can't find it tomorrow, I can help you with this. Because
Well,
we
I've
didn't
got-
prepare it today.
I can do this several more times,
Good.
so we're good.
Cool.
Okay, so heading power walking towards the port.
Alright. Towards the port, you start heading that way towards the seaside, and you see a bunch of the warehouses and fishing boats coming in for the evening, but you don't get any ding. You don't
Alright.
get an awareness of its presence.
How big is this
Yeah,
place?
It's a decent sized little port town. Like, it's,
So it's not like a up and coming village, almost town.
Excuse me.
yeah, essentially.
Okay.
Solix.
Right. Port Royal.
It might be a good idea for us to, rather than walking all over town trying to get a ping, maybe questioning some of the locals who may have seen a shooting star or something of that nature.
Would be a good call.
You are familiar with at least one denizen of this town.
I am.
Halberd, you're good at questioning people.
He is good at that.
Shall we divide and conquer?
Shall we stay together and conquer?
I mean, we have a invitation to dinner with my contact here in a little bit. So we could do some halberd interrogation first, and then over dinner we can inquire about that.
Let's,
Like how Halberd interrogation has become a thing.
Oh, no, he,
Oh, there are
Like it's a verb.
Halberd doesn't talk to people, Halberd interrogates people.
especially in this section of town.
Oh, yeah.
A pretty good number.
So,
I'm taking note of which ones look nice. Want to find quality.
There are two that do seem to be reasonably high quality.
doing him.
I have a side quest I'm on, yo.
He's doing stuff.
what's happening with the taverns or something like that?
So,
I mean, that's fair.
I would like to see maybe if there's an offer list or something like that. I feel like that would be something that would make it into city records if it was such a major event.
right. Okay, let's do this. Let's go. You and Kesator can go find somebody of importance in the city. Doran and myself, and you go wherever you want now. Doran and myself will start at the low end of the city in like a tavern, and you start at the top, we'll start at the bottom, start talking to people, and we'll see where we land in like an hour.
Just real quick question. Where were the ports in relation to the center of the town?
Meet back at the temple in an hour.
The So the town is spread out mostly along the coast. Think of it almost triangle shaped, where you enter in, and then it sort of spreads out as it approaches the coast. And along the coast, there are the ports, there's the wharves and the docks, the warehouses, and then sort of on the other edges of the triangle are more residential, and sort of filling the middle space is more of the shops, the temples, the day-to-day businesses.
Okay. So I'm going to go back to the center of town then, and basically go hang a left type deal.
Okay.
In direct relation, so coming from the port to the center of town, hang a direct 90 degrees, go about 1,000 feet from the center of town, from where I was. And I'm going to try this one more time.
So heading north or south?
I came away from the port to the center, so that would be
you'd
north.
heading west. North would be left.
Okay, yeah, let's go to north.
Okay.
The port is in the west, so he'd be heading east away from the port. Right. So this would be marked out here on the map.
Say that one more time.
Yeah, because
The port is on the.
west.
Did I say that wrong?
So,
I did. Port's on the west.
alright.
Yes.
Yeah, so he'd be
I've
heading...
been saying this wrong because I've been getting east and west mixed
I've
up.
been tracking with you there. I've interpreted what you've got,
Yes.
what you've been putting down.
Yeah, I'm going to go...
This is a normal world. The sun does go east to west. I promise.
No, I was actually really excited.
Yeah, he actually made a comment. He was like, the sun sets on the east in this world. Like,
No, that was me being a goof.
The sun sets in the north.
Sorry, I'm not quite that creative.
the sun sets in the north.
Be awesome.
Just wait.
I'm waiting.
Anyway, so I'm going about 1,000 feet north, and I'm gonna I'm gonna go 2,000 feet north,
Okay.
and then cast locate object again.
Right. As you go and you cast your spell, you do get a very faint ping right on the edge, moving away from you.
I start hauling butt, and as I'm sending a message, and I'm going to send it to Soliex, and
well, I mean, I would imagine we hadn't split up yet. If you were going to say that you were going to go, because we were sort of looking for taverns. If you were going to go 2,000 feet north to do it, we could go to a tavern 2,000 feet north.
I heard my name and tavern in the same sentence and started walking.
yeah, so I kind of figured y'all just went.
If you were gonna try locating one more time, I would have been in
If you're gonna,
vicinity.
if you're going to do the locate one more time, then I figured we would have been not tavern yet. Don't hold on.
That gives us a better shot.
Yeah.
Well then, tally ho!
Cool. All right. Now we run.
One of the few rare opportunities. I must go.
It'll be there when you get back.
Right?
I am hauling
Dwarf is set.
like full on
Yep. We are running.
double
We are
quadruple
running
dash.
to the town.
Shoving people out of your way, clearing the streets.
Everybody move!
Yes.
Bunch of idiots wandering through town.
Essentially. And following it, it seems to be moving at a fairly quick speed.
It always is. Anytime we're tracking something, it's moving at a fast speed.
You do seem to be gaining on it.
Good.
As you're actually heading out of town and into it does seem to be a lightly wooded little grove area to the north of town.
Elves, man.
You do see a
Rangers.
And what else?
you do see a figure. You can't make much detail out about it.
How far ahead of me are they?
They're still a ways ahead. They're at this point probably between 500 to 600 feet. You've closed the distance pretty considerably, but they had a little bit of a head start on you. You just caught the vaguest hint of the ping as you were heading out.
Do you want me to drop this guy?
No.
No?
Okay.
No, not yet.
But be ready just in case.
I'm always ready.
Yeah,
I'm gonna back out Night Bane, ride Night Bane.
I was so hoping.
Okay.
Yep.
You start writing Night
That's a
Bane,
thing.
and you start as you start gaining on this figure.
Drastically gaining.
Can I do it quietly?
With Pass Without Trace.
Roll a stealth check at disadvantage because you are bolting as fast as you can.
Also, like,
But you can add Pass Without Trace for the whatever it is plus 10.
so happy. All right.
Jojo is a hawk, right? Yeah.
I have a 28 stealth.
Disadvantage.
Yes. I'll have.
Oh, you have plus 10 to stealth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Okay.
With that disadvantage, it would have been 38.
Yes.
You rolled an 18 and an 8.
Wow. Wow. Night Bane is very, very quiet.
I like this.
Good kitty.
That's nuts.
You follow the figure into the woods, and fairly quickly, the ping disappears.
wait,
Wait, what?
do that one more time in English.
It disappeared in the woods.
I'm 500 feet away, less than 500 feet away, and it disappears.
Yes.
Has the character disappeared now?
Yes.
Oh,
As you were getting into the trees, you blink, and it's gone.
Okay, chase him into the woods. We're going to the woods.
I'd like to be right where he disappeared.
Alright. There's a waiver. Actually, make a perception check.
I'm assuming he beat us there.
Yes.
That's going to be 16.
16? You do see a brief, almost like heat wave in the air.
Would I recognize what this is?
You're not there yet.
Oh, never mind.
You're still like
Is
100,
there,
150 feet back.
from my remembrance with Cortana and his jumping planes, which he did with me, would this look familiar?
No, this doesn't have the sort of. This is not a dimension door. This is not anything like the ability that you had experienced with Cortana.
How far behind are they?
100 feet, a little less at this point.
Does this thing seem to be...
You give them like 10, 15 seconds and they'll be there with you.
Is this thing dissipating?
No.
I'll wait. Chop chop.
And they've arrived.
Alright.
Okay, now do I recognize what it is?
This make a history check. History? Yeah, we'll say history. I'll even let you make it at advantage with your background.
Oh, okay. Even better. Not even better. Actually, that is better. 14?
14? It's vaguely familiar, yes.
As?
It does seem to be a portal or a brief tear in the fabric of the plane.
I pull out, oh wait, we're in a forest. I grab a stick. And I poke it.
You poke it and it seems to go into it and get, like, it goes and disappears.
Planar. It's a. Unfortunately, this is a planar gate.
Right. We need the book. We have to. Any idea on where this goes?
There's one way to find out.
Right, but we do know. So here's my thoughts. There was a book on this plane. There was a book on another plane. Now we can. Our only hope of getting the book on the other plane right now is to go.
And we have 2 books on this plane.
That are not going anywhere at the moment.
On this plane.
There's 3? No, there's 2.
There's 4 total. We've got one of the book.
There's 4 total. I think there's 3 total.
No, there's 4 total.
We know that there's 1 here, we know we have 1. And this is another one, yeah.
But we may never get this book back if we don't.
I couldn't hear you. What?
We do have the scroll of teleportation that will take us back to Grimhold.
Teleport circle, or teleportation circle.
Does it
It's
work?
not teleport.
Does it work across planes?
You have the scroll, right? I think
Yes.
that's all we can afford for now.
Yes.
And so does that work across planes?
Let me look at the details of that particular spell.
I think so.
I don't think it does, but
Can't you resummon your bird? Is he not something you can...
no, it's on the same plane of existence.
Can't Jojo be resummoned if we were to lose him?
Yes. I could say you want me to send him through.
That was a thought.
I don't think, but you can't communicate with him on another plane.
But we'll know if we can get back.
I think regardless, we're gonna have to go.
I think you're so close. You're not so close.
I'm pulling off my shield, and
Before you go through.
I'm not going through, but I'm keeping it here.
I should have dropped that fella.
Do me a favor.
Next time.
Do you have any, do you have the ability to send a message?
Yes.
Could you send a message for me?
Yes. But we need to hurry.
Right. Would you inform Sarai that we had to leave unexpectedly, and
Unexpected journey.
tell her that I am sorry, and I will try to be back. And
Anything else?
that's it.
Alright, I cast sending. Sarah, this is Val. Unfortunately, we are having to jump through a planar gate. Hopefully, we'll be back. How many do I have left?
5. Or 6.
6.
6.
We got 6.
Soliak says goodbye. And I jump.
Yep. Thank you. I follow.
Alright. You go through, and you emerge into a beautiful, just pristine forest. You hear the sound of a stream running nearby. And at this point, we're going to go ahead and take a break.
We're all gonna die!
Oh man, I'm so mad.
As we go ahead, we will set this up. We will continue and go right back here. We'll be back here in about 15 minutes to finish this off.
The world around you is a page in a book, and everyone goes about their day-to-day business writing the stories of their lives. The way those stories intersect and interact fill the page with an epic tale. Now, a book is made of many pages, and each of those pages is a different world. Where the pages lay flat together, a bold character may jump from one page to another and enter a world both similar to and different from their own. The Sanctum, and others of its kind, make that jump safe and stable, and leave the door open for that character to return home. The Sanctum is an empathic entity, a sentient being that sustains itself by creating and growing these pathways between worlds. Its extraplanar hub and portals are anchored and guarded by keepers, and fed and sustained through the efforts of runners. It thrives off stories and songs, experiences and impressions unique to the worlds it can access. An isolated sanctum, unable to reach out and deprived of any interaction, withers to a fragment of its potential and ultimately shrivels to death. This is the situation our heroes have found themselves in. The sanctum is under attack, and in an effort to hide, Owen, the sanctum's partner and head keeper, has divided and scattered the journals that hold the Sanctum's accumulated knowledge of other worlds, cutting it off from all outside interaction. Our heroes, runners of the Sanctum, are tasked with finding and returning the lost journals to the Sanctum's hub and restoring it to its full glory. But this task may not be as easy as they hope.
A blacksmith first and a fighter second, Doran Runheim hails from the dwarven citadel of New de Villiers in the Markheim Mountains. A dwarf of simple pleasures, Doran enjoys smashing things with a hammer, drinking ale, and of course he can be found getting into trouble with his team. The only son of a small family, Doran learned to stand against condescending scions of larger families from an early age, which left him with a long-standing distrust of politics. After a tragic accident in a deep mining shaft, Doran resolved to be skilled enough to protect others, in addition to devoting himself to his family's heritage and craft to try and raise his family's status. In the advancement of that craft, Doran discovered an ability his family had thought lost, the ability to imbue normal items with extraordinary magics. As his family's fortune fell, he set off to spread his family's name and reputation, and to rediscover his heritage.
Raised just outside the elvish city of Tor Elm, the capital of the Wood Elves in the heart of the Mirth Wood, Halberd thrived as the second of 4 children. They spent just as much time having adventures in the forest as they did in the city, and Halberd became very familiar with that terrain, especially when moving stealthily to sneak up on his siblings. As a young adult, Halberd and his brother both put their forestry skills to work in the military. They joined the Adskabak, an elite fighting force that worked to defend Mirthwood's borders from all monstrosities and invaders. Shortly after his acceptance into the Adzabak, the love of his life agreed to become his wife, and soon gave him 2 beautiful children. Halberd was blissful, but it would not last. His unit was transferred from their standard position to a distant posting. The group was ambushed, betrayed by their own people, and, except for Halberd, entirely wiped out. The sole survivor, Halberd returned to his home only to find devastation there too. A dragon of some kind had arrived and destroyed the town. Halberd's home was gone and his family was murdered. Seeking both answers and vengeance, Halberd bent his skills to infiltrating the government, sowing discord and confusion as he went. It didn't take much to turn elf against elf. As the city fell from within, the dragon returned to destroy it utterly. In his escape to the mountains, Halberd never saw the dragon's form, and thus turned his hate to all dragonkind. He wandered for nearly 200 years, utterly alone in exile, until he rescued a young displacer beast cub from a dragon's lair. Pitying the young orphan, Halberd adopted it and named it Nightbane, and the two traveled together for a few years before being invited into the Sanctum.
The scion of one of the 12 ruling families of his people, Casator grew up as the elder of 2 children. A studious child at heart, he spent long days finding joy in the written word. It was during his studies that he discovered a truth his family had long sought to bury, that they were only relatively new to power and had gained it through somewhat underhanded means. Shocked at the obscuring of his family's history, Casator tried to bring it to light. His parents, and later his entire extended family, shut him down and censored him severely. Faced with this betrayal of his ideals, Casator decided to leave his homeland. In the midst of packing for his journey, he was interrupted by his younger sister, who begged him to allow her to join him. He turned her away on account of her youth, being only 13 years of age. However, he did agree to visit her each year, and in 5 years, on her 18th birthday, she would join him. The yearly visits passed, and the day came, but upon his return on her 18th birthday, Casator found that his sister had disappeared with no trace. Deeply saddened, Casator left his home for good, suspicious that his family knew more of his sister's disappearance than he would admit. Casator journeys now in search of knowledge. Knowledge is power after all, but only for those willing to use it. He quests to find that which is noble and true, and to share it with each culture he passes through, using song and story to influence the world for greater good.
Death is just a part of life, and few have spent more time in its company than Val. When you meet him, his intelligence and cunning are immediately obvious, as is his lack of strength. Born into the mountain tribe of the Kalashtar, his parents left him as a child in order to save his father from a pact with a chaotic deity. He was given to stay with his mother's tribe while his parents were away. However, his mother's people refused to train him as a druid due to his gender, as only females of the tribe were allowed to learn the druidic arts. As a young man, he chose to leave the tribe and explore the world searching for his parents. Unfortunately, not long after his departure, he was captured and taken as a slave by the Inspired, a nation of Dark Kalashtar bent on spreading their influence across all the planes of existence. After a few years, Val was able to escape through a planar gate into the Feywilds. Whilst there, he encountered the goddess Sayanine. She took a liking to him and claimed him as her own. A few short months later, Tyrek, a cleric and keeper of the Sanctum, recruited Val as a runner. Tyrek and his sister Liren trained Val as a cleric, and for 2 years, he served the Sanctum. As a cleric, Val is used to taking care of his team, but his sojourns into the realm of death have made it difficult for him to make friends.
If you are a good and true follower of Bahamut, then the sight of the Arbiter and his shining shield will be one of comfort and relief. However, if your so-called faith is nothing more than a heresy for self-profit and position, then you should tremble in fear before the Arbiter and his judgment, and pray you do not meet his axe. Solex was not always the Arbiter. In fact, his calling into the service of Bahamut took him from his family as an infant. Raised by elders in the cloisters of the grand city of Dragenthrone, the young brass dragon lived a sheltered life. As an acolyte, Solex learned his lessons well, but his true passion was for physical training and the combative arts. He began to pursue the path of the paladin, taking oaths and dedicating his life in devotion to a more aggressive service of the Platinum Dragon. His plan for his life, however, was forever changed on his 16th birthday, when the archpriest declared Solex to be the Arbiter, Bahamut's chosen judge. There had not been an Arbiter in over a century, so his sudden appointment was not only a shock to Solex, but to everyone else as well. Solex's new duty would include examining the Church of Bahamut itself, rooting out heresy where he found it. Needless to say, Solex was instantly isolated, removed from his friends, who he might one day have to judge, and held to a different standard than he was used to. He was not only taught how to fight efficiently, but was forced to study until he was able to perfectly recall the laws and sacraments of the Church. When his studies were completed, Solex was sent out on his journey, intending to travel from church to shrine to temple and ensure the Platinum Dragon was being honored appropriately. He didn't make it very far at all before he crossed paths with the Sanctum, once again having his life changed in a way he never expected. Force Boogaloo.
And welcome back. We will go ahead and jump right back into the adventure where we left off. Y'all came through the portal into a pristine and elegant forest. The sun on the leaves, like the warm, almost humid air.
The tavern was right there.
You're so close.
So close to the tavern. So close.
You hear a stream, and then relatively near, burbling, bubbling, the sound of water moving. What do y'all do?
What's the...
I immediately recast locate object.
You do get a ping.
What's the lighting in here? Is it like still sort of dusky? Is it like midday?
Golden.
Golden. And can't get trees, can't see the sky?
Yep.
Make all night name.
And
do I see any character as he's doing locate object? I want to scan and see.
You don't see anybody. Make a survival check. See if you can track them.
Go ahead and
At advantage.
draw the war axe out.
Yeah, I'm kitted up, ready to go.
This is so sucky.
Not good.
Oh no.
Mine, that's a 15.
15? That's okay. So what?
15.
Okay. That is still enough. It's a fairly clear trail. A set of tracks heading towards the sound of the water. You do recognize that this is, like, there are other older tracks following the same trail. They seem to be the same print. So it seems like whoever has come this way multiple times.
And does the, what would it be called? The crack in the dimension? I guess.
The rift?
The rift, thank
Portal?
Rift is a good word for it.
The rift in the dimension. Does it appear that the tracks always lead up to that point and cross out of that point?
I think so.
So it appears that this is a fixed point, a fixed rift. Gypsy danger.
Real quick, before we take off, I'm going to take a dagger and throw it in the dirt right at that spot.
Okay.
And then haul after.
Yep. Alright. Yeah, we're going after object.
Alright.
We must stubby little
You
way.
follow it. You are running and not being stealthy at all.
Nope.
Following Halberd.
Is my stuff still carry over? I'm just curious, because I'm in my favorite train now.
I must say probably not, because you stopped and you were rejoined by several people wearing fairly heavy armor clunking through the woods.
She means those two.
Heavy armor bros.
What's up?
So it doesn't count as difficult terrain because you can lead them through it, but they're still not being very quiet. Whoever you're following will know pretty quickly once you get close enough for them to hear you.
But he's tracking them, right?
Following the path.
I imagine he showed us the footprints, or we've seen them by now. But what do the footprints look like? Did you show us the footprints?
I mean,
do you have time? Because I took off as soon as I was able to get going.
We're going that way.
Yeah.
Now, okay, here's the question though. Is the locate object and the tracks going in the same direction?
They are.
Okay.
It's like in tracks. Beastie tracks?
Let's go. Yep, so we're locate objecting.
Boot, foot.
We're going. Locate object, tracking.
And within about 3 or 4 minutes, you come to a pond. And sitting on the edge of the pond, his feet dangling in the water, a pack at his side, is a young human teenager. In front of him, standing in the water, is a... It's a female form. It's hard to tell whether she's human or whether she's elven or whether she's fae. She's got long brown hair, wet, just hanging off of her. She's dressed in fairly like simple tunic, leggings, barefoot. She's just standing there talking to him, and he's talking back.
She's standing on the water?
In the water.
Okay.
Does she have a sword?
No.
Ladies in Waters handing out swords, it's a thing. We've established.
Who's in front as we're running?
You two.
Who is in front?
It would be you tracking, you locate objecting.
I'm locate objecting, so
I'm in the back, I'm the slowest.
Yeah. You two are definitely in the lead here.
I'm in the back, I'm the slowest.
how far away are we from them?
You emerge from the trees, probably 45-ish feet away.
Slow down. Just begin approaching calmly.
Okay. They hear you approach, and they look up, and there's some startlement.
Just a smile.
Hello?
Hello.
Welcome.
Who's speaking?
Yes,
A woman.
Okay.
Sorry. The boy at this point has gotten his pack that's over his shoulder, and he's stepping around almost as though he's going to walk into the lake.
Are we within 60 feet?
Yes.
Okay. If he steps into the water, I'm gonna do something.
Where's the locate object hitting her at?
On his person.
Oh,
Although you don't know that.
no, I don't. I just was curious.
But it is pinging somewhere on him.
I'm trying to keep my eye on her.
Curious, no need to be alarmed.
You come armed into my home.
This is your home. I'm very sorry.
Recently.
That's a story to tell. My name is Halbert. I'm of the woods.
Albert. I'm Isra.
Isra. Well, this is...
Your kind have dealt fairly with mine. Perhaps you can help.
Perhaps I can, Isra, but... I mean, you said my kind. I of course assume you mean the elvish kind.
Yes.
And your kind. What am I seeing? What does she look like in front of me? What do I recognize?
Probably, actually, yes. I'm not even going to make you roll for it. You do recognize she is a naiad. A water nymph.
Oh dear.
That seems bad. I don't know things.
Don't trust any Fae ever.
Yeah.
Never trust a Fae. It's like never trust a bunny or a Fae.
Are you telling this to the government?
You said this is... Well, first off, let me just compliment you. It's a beautiful land. It's nice to be back in the woods again. But you said this is a new home, and the young one, is he with you? Who is this?
Xantir, it's okay. Isra, I don't trust them. They chased me. Xantir, it's fine. You're with me. You'll help us. I hope. And she sort of looks over at you. My home was stolen. Xantir's been kind enough to help sustain me through the transition here. His family and most of the town have been long-standing friends.
The town?
Yes, Farendale. I watch over it. Or, I did.
Sorry. Hello, I'm sorry.
Yes, my companions. I'm sorry, forgive my rudeness.
You said far down, like from the other playing world, the other place, Farndale, that
Oh, yes.
And he's from there.
Yes.
Interesting. Did not mean to chase you, by the way, but we were in search of something, and we believe it's on your person, so we were just trying to get it back.
He sort of hugs his pack. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Obviously. Of course you don't. No need to be alarmed.
It's
alright.
Sort of just starts watching all of you.
Don't worry, we've encountered, there were There are bad things trying to get it, and we thought you were one of them. You've proven that you are not, so you should not fear us at all.
Doran puts his axe up.
Keeps the shield. There's no need to fear us. You are not some great evil being put in possession of this, so please relax. Everything's fine.
You think very highly of yourself, I must say, just to make such a great warrior so concerned. So, apparently...
It was the only reason for us to pursue you in such a drastic manner. You do not fear us. Do you know, so you're from, Ferndale? You're from Ferndale, yes?
Yes.
I have a friend in the city, in the town. Are you familiar with a silver dragonborn named Sarah?
Sarah,
Yes, she's a friend of mine. We grew up together.
She used to teach my sister.
Oh, did she teach you as well?
No. I'm too old for that class.
Oh, well, she is a wonderful teacher, a good person to get to know. You really should get to know her. She's very, very wise. You can teach you a few things despite your age.
Possibly. My sister loved her.
Many do.
Why did you chase me?
Well, I mean, like we said, the item you found, we were just trying to get it back, and we were concerned that a great evil had grabbed it, and we were trying to get from them. I mean, you are not a great evil, so...
You can't have it.
Oh, okay. Question, where did you find it?
It fell from the sky.
Yes, it did. Was it in the woods, or just outside the town?
Outside the town.
Have you looked at it much?
No, but it's gotta be worth something. I mean, you can't have it.
Don't worry. It's all right. It's all right. Let's just take a moment. This is a peaceful place and a peaceful woods. You are peaceful people, as are we, until need arises. In the same way that you're feeling the need to protect someone that you care very much about, it's the same thing that we are. So, tell me about this place. What is going on? Why did you need a new home? Isra. Why did you need a new home? What happened to your old one?
It was stolen from me. A little over a moon ago. It was invaded and torn from my grasp. I was banished, and if it wasn't for Xanterra here, I would have died.
Your previous home, was it on this plane, or the other?
No, not far from Farndale at all.
Oh, so you are from the other world, then?
For quite a while, yes. I called it my home.
What was it that banished you?
An unquiet spirit.
We've encountered a few of those. We are familiar with those and how they work. Question, though. Does this unquiet spirit still reside in your former home?
I can only assume.
How far outside of Ferndale was it?
Not quite an hour. Not far. Xanter, you came the normal way? I did. Not far from where you entered this place, then. Maybe 30 minutes?
Might I... Quick, team huddle, real quick. Have a thought. Excuse us real quick.
I suppose.
Team huddle. Okay, so, here's a thought real quick.
They do this often, don't let it go on.
Thought real quick. What if we offer to take care of the thing in exchange for the blood?
Xandir. Why do you feel the need to hold this book so tightly?
I'm selling it, if you must know. I have me the money.
Well, what are you hoping? Well, I mean, we all have needs, that's understandable, but what specifically? Why this? Why did you automatically assume we're here just to take it from you? You said you need to sell it. Why do you need to sell this book? And what is the rush, if you don't mind my asking?
Make a...
How old is this character? Because in my mind, I'm picturing a rather...
fairly young, like 13 to 15 range.
That's what I was picturing.
Make a persuasion roll.
Oh boy.
Are you good at that?
We'll find out. Nope. That's a 4.
Oh. It's not really your concern. I just...
Xander, question. You have tried to sell it. What would be your asking price? How much are you trying to get for it?
I need a diamond.
A diamond?
A valuable diamond. Something big and expensive.
Xander, did you lose someone?
You see his face just fall. Looks up at you.
You offered to bring them back for a diamond.
It's... Sari said that she could pray, and maybe if Bahamut was kind, he'd let my sister come back.
How did your sister die?
When Isra was... when her pond was invaded, I was not paying attention. And Vanera was playing in the water. And then the next thing I know, she wasn't playing anymore. And I tried hard to save her, but she wasn't breathing, and she was cold. And then something tried to take her from me and pull her farther in, and I fought so hard. I managed to get her out. And Isra, he sort of looks up at her. Isra helped me, but that meant that she lost her home, and I lost my sister. And it's my fault.
It wasn't your fault. How long ago was this?
3 weeks.
Solix, does Sarah have that kind of connection with Bahamut?
I do not know, but that is a very expensive diamond for 3 weeks.
That was my thought as well.
How about this? Why don't you come back with us and we'll have a conversation with Sarah and see if we can't help you. I can't promise anything, but we can talk, and maybe we can figure something out. I understand what it's like to lose people. You lost a friend along the way, but it is not your fault that your sister fell. It is the creature within the pond, but it is not your fault. You did what you could to protect her. Something powerful enough to take over a pond is something far too powerful for a boy to contend with. And it is not your fault.
You see him listen to what you say. But but he's still weighed down.
Aye.
I'll show you the way back to town.
Appreciate that.
Here's here. He pulls a full bottle out of his pack and hands it to her.
What is that?
Xantier brings me water from my pond, my home, and it eases the transition.
Well,
Do you know what happened to take over? Can you give me any details?
It was like nothing I'd experienced before. She called herself Rusalka and took my visage, took my form, like a dark reflection.
do you have any idea what she was? Or is before she took your visage? Did you recognize it?
I think that is what she is. I've never met one, but they say the Rusalka are the spirits of a drowned woman come back to haunt their death place, or as close to it as they can get.
Do I know anything about that type of undead?
Do I believe what she's saying?
Make an insight check.
Ooh, that's not good. Religion? Yeah, it's an 8.
Nothing that you've heard specifically about before, but it tracks.
24.
24? She seems to be telling you the truth. Perhaps not all the truth, but what she's saying is honest.
Is there something else that we need to know about? Something that might aid us as we investigate?
She likes to lure in men. You'd best be wary. Her glance passes over all of you.
Well, this should be fun. Let us go
Xander,
back to the town.
when did you find that book?
It was just a couple days after the stars fell.
How many moons
Yeah,
ago was that?
timeline question between
Yes.
how long has it been
It's
since?
been almost 2 months.
Okay,
like 7 weeks,
we were
7.5
gone, we were
weeks.
gone for like 6 weeks. So his sister died post book.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. When did you find the book? It's very important that you tell us the truth.
No, I knew where it fell and I knew who had it, so I took it.
Who had it before you?
It doesn't matter.
No, it very much matters. Xandir, who had it before you, and did you have it on you when your sister was in the water?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't on me. It was. I mean, I keep it close, but it wasn't. It was fine.
It was near you when the pond fell.
I mean,
Xandir, I need you to understand something. Remember when I said there were evil things out here looking for it? I believe that pond could have fallen because of the proximity to the book. Honesty is important here. Your life and those close to you are close to danger as long as that book is in your possession. There's people in the town to protect you, but I warn you, be cautious with powerful things, and that book is powerful. Sarai can help protect you as long as that book is in your possession. And Ishra, you are making her stronger, and she could also help you. But caution is good when around powerful things. Again, the loss of your sister is not your fault, and you need to understand that. You need to embrace that. But caution should be used. We should go talk to Sarai.
Solix,
Sure.
have an idea. Based on something the druids said. Young man, you said you had the book near you when you lost your sister.
It doesn't go far from me. I don't...
I'm gonna try to telepathic contact.
Okay. Go ahead and make a... Do I think this is going to be wisdom or intelligence? Why not? We'll make it wisdom.
Alright, is it straight wisdom?
Yeah, wisdom roll.
Oh, that's not bad. It's not great. 8, 9. I can't math.
Plus what?
8 plus.
13.
Thank you. 5.
Okay, 13? It takes you a moment to sort of internally harness that part of your abilities to make contact there, and then from there to reach out, but you managed to succeed.
Alright. There are those who are searching for this book. And they can do much more than just this. Your ability to protect it and yourself are not going to be enough. These are demons and devils from another plane that have tracked this book. And they will find it, just like we found you. And unlike us, will be not nearly as kind. We have a way to hide the book from their eyes. If you're willing to trust us, we can help you with talking to Sarai and with possibly helping Ezra get her pond back. But right now this book is a beacon, and we're not the only ones who can find it. I think it would be best if you would give the book over to be hidden, and we can help you from there.
Point of question. Did your eyes change when you did that?
I have no clue.
Would you call this an emotionally heightened situation?
I mean...
Possibly.
Yeah, a little.
You're not in combat. You're not in any...
We are in another plane of existence.
Also high stakes right now.
Yeah, that's actually the biggest thing that makes me think I can might...
D20.
3.
3? No, your eyes aren't glowing.
Okay.
Xander, I wanted to ask, would you consider possibly a trade? You hold on to something of mine that is very dear to me, and we will keep this safe until everything is squared away the way it needs to be. I don't get what is dear to me back until everything is taken care of.
Now, are you saying this while I'm talking to him, or...
I don't know, I'm going to wait for you to stop doing your little and then...
Do you even know I'm doing
I'm waiting because you look...
Hello, child. Look deep into my eyes.
Not quite.
Not quite.
Sorry.
What's your passive perception?
19.
19. Yeah, you'd probably notice.
Yeah.
This is not without effort. And having been familiar with Cortana and his
Much easier time of doing this.
yes.
No, I would have waited.
Okay.
So did he respond to my...
He did not. He sort of paused and got a little stiff, and his eyes got really big, but he didn't actually say anything.
Did you get inside your head?
Do you know?
It's a family thing. It's really weird. But don't freak out. It's okay.
A little late.
That's fair.
Promise Isra. Don't promise me. People break their promise to me all the time. Isra can keep you to your word.
We all agree that's fair.
Well, it's hard to promise things that we're not certain can be upholding on my own power.
No, that is fair. But if something happens, you get to keep what is mine.
No. Promise that if you can't do it, I get it back. I already have a buyer. He said he can pay for it.
How much did he offer you?
5,000 gold.
I might be able to do you one better. Rather than the book back, which would only bring trouble, I'll reach into my pouch and pull out one of the diamonds. The larger of the two.
You see his eyes just kind of lock on it.
This is essentially what you're looking for, or close to it. And if we can't do what we need to do, I'd be willing to part with it.
It's gotta... It's gotta be valuable.
Oh, it is. I know the spell that Saraya's talking about, and this is what I use to complete it.
Okay. For that.
And I'll actually hold it out. How about we trade for the book? You hold on to this. We put the book in the box to make sure nobody can find it. And you get to hold on to the diamond until we're complete. And I'll hold it like right in front of him.
He puts his hands out.
And I will.
And you see his tears start to go down his face as he holds it. Sort of tucks it away.
Now, if you wouldn't mind handing the book to our dwarven friend over here. And, yep.
He pulls out the book. And he sets it in.
Doran just gently puts his hand on his shoulder and is like, I know you feel guilty, but it will get better, I promise you that. I know how you feel, because I've been there too.
What was Israel's reaction during this time?
She's watching you very carefully, sort of hovering protectively. Watching, but not interfering.
Israel. Zambia. There's a lot going on right now. You do not know how hard it is to lose the home and the family that you love the most. I think you made a very wise and a good, safe decision. But I need to know two things for us to be able to help. First off, I need to know where your home is exactly. I can't just go exploring around with something potentially dangerous out there and not know the details about it. And I also need to know the name of the buyer.
I can speak for my home. You are on the trail to it. You're familiar with the woods. There's a large maple. It marks the turnoff from the little path that you would have been following. To the north of the maple. It's about 200 paces you'll come to a clearing, and my pond is in that clearing. As for the buyer, that is Xantir's to tell if he will. And Xantir sort of looks at her. And then takes a big sigh. Suppose. In for a copper, in for a gold.
Robert pulls out a couple of silver.
Oh, I mean, I wasn't.
Oh, I know
but
you weren't.
he called himself Reuven.
How do you spell that?
Ruvan.
Is he in the town?
Not yet. He'll be arriving 4 days, I think.
Is he a man? Is he an elf?
A man. He's one of those with the Brotherhood. They send out to aid the community.
I can't tell if we're going to end up liking the Brotherhood or if we're going to end up burning it to the ground.
How did he know? Did he contact you or did you contact him?
No. When I was first looking for someone who knows about selling things, perhaps under the radar, my father has a friend who's... It doesn't matter. But I let certain people know, and they could get in contact with certain wealthier people who may be interested. I don't know exactly how word got to Master Reuven, but he sent back a message, and last week I received word he was on his way.
Alright, well, you've done well. And it's obvious that you are someone of high character and great resolve. Very much a protector. Motioning over at Isra, and also wanting to take care of your sister the way you did. None of this is your fault. You have done well, and you've acted very wisely, very bravely. There are things in this world that many times should not happen, but they do. And things from other worlds which bleed into our own, which also shouldn't happen, but they do. And it's the great ones and the wise ones. They are the ones who interact with those and overcome them, like you are doing.
Well,
I believe it would be best for us to return.
We should go back. We should return and see about what can be done.
We will be in contact, Isra.
Xantir looks up. I'll show you the way.
Let us go talk to Sarah. I have questions.
You go ahead. Xantier leads the way back to the rift, back to the world that you were on.
I pick up the dagger on the way out.
Back to Farendale, and as you come back, it didn't seem like that long had passed, but night has definitely fallen.
Okay.
The moon is high in the sky, and you...
Are there taverns that are open?
As you get back into Farendale, going through the residential districts are quiet. But as you approach the center of town, and especially more you see closer to the coast, towards the wharfs, there's a fair bit of activity still going on at the taverns.
Well, I will take Xandir back to Sarai.
I'm coming with you.
Right, Doran, you can go see if you can't find out any information about the Brotherhood in this ruin. You'd want to go with him, perhaps? Well,
I do, however, I think I need to ask Sarai a few questions regarding her petitions for the dead.
you must.
Kizzy, would you mind keeping up with Dawn?
You know what, here, if I'm gonna... alright, I don't have to go.
No, it's fine. I mean, we don't all need to go. I'll see Sarai, so...
Can't you bring me back something? I need something to drink.
Alright, so if someone else is wanting to drink, then
I'll
I
just
just
go.
what do you want me to get?
Some sort of single malt.
We do that. And then
Pretentious.
I pull the box out and I'm like... I don't feel comfortable carrying the box.
I'll take that.
You lads take care of that.
We have it.
I will carry the box.
Side quest! Activate!
Alright,
I'm gonna pass you off a few silver.
yes, I do have questions for Sarai. So, let's go back to the temple.
Alright. It's pretty easy to retrace your steps back to the temple. You come just on the very end of the sort of evening meditations. And you wait for just a moment, and there are a couple of petitioners, mostly, who file out and return to their homes. And you see Sarai is there, finishing her cleanup, basically, blowing out the candles and shutting everything down.
Good evening, Sarai.
You're back.
Right, it was not as long of an endeavor as we thought it was going to turn into. We found this lad here, who I believe you're familiar with.
Xantier. Yes, I'm well familiar with his family.
He informed us of the tragedy that had struck him and his sister. If you have
yes.
a moment, I would like to speak to you about his sister.
What name did she say?
Vanera.
So, Xandir, if you wouldn't mind staying here for a moment, Sarah and I are going to go have a conversation. We will be right back. I would like to lead her away from Xandir.
Okay.
Am I allowed to be...
I'm going to follow you. So I'll follow with you, so yes, unless you ask me to stay behind.
Yeah, I mean, you guys can.
Xantier just starts
I'll stay with Xandir.
sitting awkwardly,
Alright.
cross-legged on one of the cushions.
Alright, son. How about we go get ourselves a bite to eat?
Alright.
I figure you know places to get good food.
Some. Are they gonna fight? I don't want them to fight.
That's why the others are there, just in case. No, they're not like that.
Okay.
Yeah, at least they better not be like that.
So Xantier goes ahead and leads you out to one of the It's an inn with a dinner service, and he says they have the best stew in the whole city. Dial sometimes will bring his fish here, and it's something special then.
Well, I'm very much in the mood for a good hearty meal.
So yes.
Yes. You mentioned needing expensive diamonds for a ritual of yours.
It's a component. The spell consumes it.
Yes. Which spell exactly were we talking about here? I didn't realize you had the power to bring someone back after being dead for 3 weeks.
It's just beyond the range of my abilities. It's called a resurrection. It is a ritual that those who love the departed can contribute a memento, an offering of some sort, or words to call to your spirit. I don't know how much you remember from our classes.
I'm familiar with it. I had other classes after I found out about being the Arbiter. I was taught many things, including the different spells that both paladins, clerics, and other beings can have. So I am familiar with the spell itself and what goes into it.
I have studied so long and prayed so hard, Lex. This family, they don't deserve to have her taken from them like this.
Few people deserve to have someone taken, especially not a child.
Did he tell you what happened?
He said that a creature, some undead type came and took her. We talked to Isra.
Isra, you spoke to the lady.
Yes, she informed us of what went down at the pond. Do you have any information of what currently resides there?
An undead spirit. She's taken a form very similar to the lady's. I've tried to banish her. She has uncanny power over that little pond.
So you have tried to get rid of her then?
It's not a curse I can break. It's not within my power on my own to banish her from her lair.
I think if she was weakened physically, then perhaps she could be banished.
I certainly hope so.
Sir, I have a rather difficult question to ask. The young girl, did you see her body?
I performed the burial, yes.
Was the body intact?
Yes. Drowned, but no other markings on her.
Okay. Is she buried nearby?
Yes. Just outside of town. It's 10 minutes walk from here.
Okay.
Well, we, with this little band here, it's quite familiar with weakening and defeating undead. It's unfortunately, been something we have become quite familiar with. Are you familiar with, what was the name of the town? Stillwater, is that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Familiar with the town of Stillwater? Should be a little bit northeast of here.
Northeast. Oh, on the other side of the Palisades.
Yes,
There's a swamp.
Yes.
I'd heard terrible things about knights and clerics going missing.
Yes, a scale bearer named Neva is in charge of a shrine there. He had gone missing. There was a vampire residing in a keep.
Oh.
This is where we have come from. We were there last. And then through a great many journeys, we've ended up here. So we are familiar with the dangers of the undead. And having such a being so close to a town is something we should not ignore.
It's already started infecting, I suppose, the wood around it.
Well, can't have that.
Truly, you can do something.
It's hard to promise what we can do, but we can certainly try to do something. So, we will investigate at least. Our ranger friend, Halbert. If you could get with him and give him all the details you can think of. He's our resident tracker and quite familiar with the woods themselves, so he may be able to help. So, get with him, give him whatever information you can, and we will see what we can do about the being in the pond.
Be careful, Silyax.
Of course, we always are. That's what we do.
I know.
When did this start?
You missed a team inquiry.
Yes.
What do you know about the Brotherhood?
Oh, they send out their, I suppose you'd call them missionaries? How much experience have you had with them? You don't wear their mark?
No, we've only had a few encounters with them, but for the lack of a better phrasing, got a bad feeling.
Can they be trusted?
To certain ends. They're predictable. They deal in favors. And if you need help, they are some of the first to offer aid. And all they require is a promise that at some point in the future you help them with something.
Our dear boy Xander certainly was offered the amount of diamonds plus that he required for the spell by what we believe to be a member of the Brotherhood, a Reuben.
It's not a name I'm familiar with, but honestly, I asked Xantier and, well, it doesn't matter.
Well, there are things that should be shared. But you had mentioned something. It is getting late. Mentioned something about staying here. You wouldn't. That's.
I had the rooms prepared just in case.
Wonderful. I do believe we could stay here for the night and then see about dealing with this creature in the pond in the morning.
That would be wise.
Good. We currently have our dwarf friend looking into taverns. But anyways, he knows where we are. So why don't we?
Let him know if he's looking for something in particular. The alcohol at the Nimble Bird is very good.
We'll have someone.
Cindy.
We'll have someone pass that along to him.
Best use of sending ever.
Yes. Yo,
Actually,
here's where you get the best stuff, man.
Actually, Val or Casador, if one of you wouldn't mind going finding our dwarven friend and informing him of that information and letting him know that we can have a place to stay here for tonight.
Sending it is.
Sarah, we should, there's a place for us to sit and talk. I feel like we should catch up. I'll inform you what's been going on in the past.
Well, there's the garden out back, or the courtyard out in the front if you wanted to.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Just someplace for us to sit and talk.
Do you want to go for a walk?
Sounds lovely. Let us do that.
Okay, so she leads you. She leads you on, and we'll get back to that in just a moment. Doran.
Yes.
Heading back to the place I saw taverns that I remember seeing, because I...
And at some point you get a sending message.
What does sending message say?
Sending message says, what was it, Nimblebird?
The Nimblebird.
Nimblebird has the best alcohol. We're staying here tonight. Please, for the love of all things sacred and sane, bring me something to eat.
Something to eat?
Yes.
Because he was going for a food run, but I don't know that yet. I guess.
No, you don't.
Alright.
Doing shopping. Drunk shopping.
Doran's second shopping adventure.
Thank you.
For money. Yeah, I got 56. Goldens.
Plenty.
Goldens.
That'll do good for one.
Alright, I got you, boo. Okay, I love you, bye-bye.
Very nice. So you get your message. Just as you're starting to explore and you have. If you had a favorite terrain, it would be a tavern.
Hey, dwarven fighter.
But you're evaluating the taverns as you pass and deciding, still making up your mind which one to go into. When you get this message about the Nimblebird having the best alcohol, it was one that you had noticed about 3 taverns back up that way.
Turn around.
Alright, so you head to the Nimblebird, you head on in, and there's one of the very few dwarves that you have seen in this town as the proprietor.
Fantastic.
She has a very thick ponytail pulled back and a very well-maintained beard, bright red, apron over a green dress as she is managing very efficiently her establishment.
Alright, well then I will go to the bar and, ask for, service to get drink and food.
Hey, welcome to the Nimblebird. You're looking for drink and food.
Aye, if you have food. If not, that's fine. Drink is a bit more important on this little mission.
Oh, we certainly have food, but we specialize in the drink.
That is exciting to hear.
No, we got several varieties. What are you looking for in particular?
I mean, I'm looking for rum, and since this was a port town, I was hoping I could find some.
Oh, certainly. No, if you want the good stuff, it'll cost a bit more.
Okay.
You want the good stuff, or you want the good stuff?
I mean,
do you want to get a little tipsy, or do you want to not feel your face?
Let's get grog. No, that's a dwarven term. Yeah.
Dwarves.
So stupid. It's so stupid, but I love it. Okay. Yeah, no, we want to get the really good stuff if they haven't enough of it.
For a fellow dwarf, I
Aye.
just got a shipment in some of the best rum we've had yet.
Oh, lass, thank you.
No, it's a bit on the pricey side, don't thank me just yet. It's 10 gold a bottle. Well, let's say you get one of those and perhaps another beverage, and I can knock a gold off of the price for that.
Okay, that sounds good. I'm just... Rum is so hard. It seems so hard to find. If I can just have a bottle of it.
You can just get the cheap stuff here on the coast fairly frequently, but if you want the good stuff, you're going to be paying through the nose for it. Fortunately, it's business.
I understand that one. By trade, blacksmith.
Ah,
Aye.
I see on your hands. Yeah, you got the scars from it.
Aye. It would be no fun if it were easy.
No, you're looking for work. I mean, you just...
Not really, but if there's someone in need of work...
Not necessarily, just... we don't see many of your type. Normally, you'll all head up towards Grimhold.
I was actually there recently.
And you left.
I'm travelling with a group of people. We're running errands, as it were.
That's what it is.
Not having travelled too much, but in travel, we've come across what were they calling themselves? Brotherhood, something like that.
Oh, aye.
Bunch of people. They seemed a nice lot, but I don't know. I don't really get out too much.
They're nice and they're kind and
Aye.
they deal in favours.
Aye.
They don't tell you what they want. I mean, they're I'm sure some of them are nice, but it's risky. It seems to rub me the wrong way. I won't deal with them.
That's understandable. Sketchy sounding. Have you heard of what was that man's name? We were talking in passing and we'd heard the name, man, what was it? Ruvian. That man.
Aye, Ruvian. He comes through 2-3 times a year.
Really?
Not often, no, but he stops in because we've got the good stuff, and
oh, I'm sure.
He's polite enough to your face, but there's something off about that one.
Well,
he's watching like he wants something all the time.
That's strange. Well, business and other things aside, how about some drink and some coin?
Ah, certainly. So you want a bottle of the good rum, and then
Aye, that'll do.
Anything else I can get for you?
Would I have known what food people would have wanted, so I would know what to ask for, or did they just say food?
Food. It's just food.
Okay, that's what I figured.
Not picky.
Well, what on your menu do you have for eating?
Well, we got some beef roast, fresh in. Don't get it often, there's not much left. Can get it for you for 4 silver a serving, or if you're wanting fish, we got plenty of that. We got some fried up, nice and hot still. Can get that a bit cheaper. It's only about 2 silver per that.
Okay. How about let's have variety. Let's have 3 servings of each. And can you pack it up for me?
Certainly, let me get you a basket.
Oh, fantastic.
So that's 12 for the beef and 6 for the fish.
Aye.
18 told. Tell you what. 11 gold for that and a bottle of rum, and we'll call it even.
Oh, lass. You're a godsend. Thank you.
I don't see many of my own folk around. It's nice to talk to another one.
Oh, of course. Yeah. It's strange finding someone down here by the beach, though. What brings you down here?
It's till as old as time, I suppose. Met a man, followed him here. Sea took him 4 years back.
I'm sorry.
God's rest him. Well, set myself up pretty nice here in the business, and the bird's been doing quite well for me.
That sounds fantastic. I'm sure he's looking down on you smiling.
Yeah. Well, up maybe.
Well, maybe not.
He was, well, ain't too many of us cried more in a tear or two when he passed.
The accent shifted and you threw me off very hard.
Sorry.
Because it went into like southern drawl-ish, and that, I'm sorry, my brain went crazy. I didn't even register what you said. I'm sorry. Could you do the line again? Read the script.
Line.
I'm sorry. I swear I'm
What did I say?
something about shedding a tear for him or something.
Right, not more than a person or two who shed a tear when he passed.
Oh, I'm sorry, dear.
Aye.
But this is a lovely place, and I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for this.
And the birds made it more than worth it.
Oh, well, that's good.
Let me get you your meal and pack it up for you.
Aye, thank you. I have people waiting for me.
Well, I certainly don't want to keep them waiting.
Aye. How much did you say that it was?
11 gold.
It was 11, okay.
11! She's lonely.
Get her, boy!
So how does it feel to RP? Get in, man.
It's all good. It's all good.
So she brings you a basket with the meals all packed up in there, and you go ahead and grab it. So I never did catch your name.
I apologize. I'm Doran Runheim.
Rita.
It's very good to meet you.
And you as well. You're going to be in town for a bit.
I'm not sure. Did we actually talk about leaving town or
Nope.
anything? I don't remember.
Nope. We have zero conversation about how long we're in town.
To be perfectly honest, I don't know.
Well, if you happen to be in town for more than a day, you're always welcome to drop by again.
That sounds great.
Well, Until then.
Yes, you have a good night.
And you as well. And she passes it off to you.
Get a door.
Food and drink, yay.
In the background, there's a bard with an accordion. This is the dog.
Man, alright.
Halberd. You and Santier went to also get food. Anything else you want to do with that, or are you just occupying him?
I would have just spent some time talking with him, taking his mind off of things of the past and not asking, not interrogating, just, growing up, what did you enjoy to do, and allowing a young kid to still be a kid, in spite of tragedy.
He doesn't get it often. Just realized I hadn't changed the music yet.
It was fitting, though, for the conversation. I have no idea what that name was. I was laughing the whole time. What was the dwarf's name?
Can you give me her name again?
Lita. Leeta.
See, this is why you couldn't go after wrong music.
Right, yeah.
I think the bard's getting the least amount at this point. Our bard sucks.
So he takes you, did I say where he took you?
No.
Alright. He would have taken you,
I see Dorn just walking out of the tavern, just...
probably see the elk head. And as befits its name, there is a large, what's the word for stuffed animals, but not the soft and plushy kind, but the real
Taxidermy?
ones. Thank you. Thank you. There's a taxidermied elk head right above the door, looking down at people as they go in.
That's a big one right there, It reminds me of when I was back in my force back in the day. My brother would go out with the crew and would go hunt the stags, especially when they come down from the high country. And it was great fun. That's not a bad size. I'm impressed actually seeing it out here towards the water's edge.
They say it's the largest that they've ever seen around here.
In a fishing town, I'm sure. That is impressive. Do you do much hunting, much fishing out here?
I go out with Dad on the boat sometimes. Not much anymore. Not lately. My mom, not Venera's mom, she used to go hunting with me. We'd go on trips a week out into the Palisades and... it's beautiful.
I looked it on the horizon, very much so. I definitely appreciated that. It's nice to be in a more familiar area, So tell me your grandest hunting story. What did you chase? What really got to you?
There was one time. Ma was still teaching me how to use the bow.
That's good. Gotcha.
Not much lately. Really not for a while, but first time I got a rabbit before Ma did. She was so proud. I'll never forget that.
No. Especially the jumpy little ones. I'll tell you a secret. I don't really care for bunnies, especially white ones myself.
That music cut in at the right time, man. That was great.
Tricksy, and you never quite know what you're going to be getting from one. Surprises. Lots of surprises.
I mean, the way that they move, they just... so quickly, you gotta get ahead of them.
Make sure you're away from the head sometimes, too. If one comes out in front of you on a giant field of sand and looks at you with red eyes, I don't care what you do, just don't stand there. Run the other way, divert, go anywhere you possibly could.
Are these magical? I mean, they sound cursed almost.
Mortal. Almost. Oh, yes. Absolutely.
How do you survive?
They didn't. You know, the big, tall, dragony one who hasn't showered in a few days.
I can remember that. Alright, we've been traveling.
You're not there.
Yeah.
You haven't even been to a town in 6 weeks.
Rot. A bag of rocks. Just like that.
Dad, no. But he's so strong.
He was. And he wasn't. It's funny how that works. It's better to be nimble and able to move. Let's just say that. You lose mobility, you're toast. Literally. Toast. It was rather embarrassing too, especially because he breathes fire. And he got roasted.
No.
He was lit.
But, really?
Yeah. I wouldn't go asking, you're still a bit touchy about it, but when you see him, just think of that moment in your mind. It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, yeah, stay away from white bunnies. Every other bunny's okay. In my interactions. White ones with red eyes.
The red eyes.
Run.
Okay.
Straight up. Or shoot first and then run. Doesn't matter.
Is this like those fish stories?
No, I wish it was. This is a bunny story, and it's real. Never trust a bunny.
You can see him taking mental notes. Never trust a bunny. Never trust a bunny. Okay.
D&D's a good game.
Right. D&D's such a good game.
Alright, so eventually y'all do meet up back at the temple where the rooms have been prepared for y'all. Doran comes bearing food.
You are my favorite wolf ever.
So, I'm just curious, friend.
High fives you.
Mike, did you happen to bring me anything? That's alright.
It's okay. You look in the basket. There are 2 bottles.
So, wait, I'm just curious,
Oh no, that's been in there since I was in the session with him. That was planned.
Oh, somebody's getting lucky.
That wasn't expected, was it?
No, it wasn't, but I, in conversation with someone, lost my train of thought, and so apparently I got you.
Time out, mate.
Hey.
You lost your train of thought while talking about
I
alcohol.
mean, you've met me, and
While talking about
I'm easily
alcohol.
distracted by things. I was trying to find information about the Brotherhood and all that, so get off my case.
Or looking for alcohol specifically. Alright, where'd you go?
It's a soaring bird, right?
Nimblebird.
Nimblebird. Wrote the wrong thing down. There's a tavern called the Nimblebird. Wow, that was very Jack Sparrow.
Oh,
Just a tad.
I might have to go give myself a... I might have to go visit this place with you sometime.
Alright, then we'll do that.
Sounds good. Tomorrow?
Yeah.
After we kill some sort of undead creature.
Aye. Take his head and shove it up his own arse.
Can you do that to an undead?
I don't know, but we can try.
I'm not getting that close, man.
That's fair enough.
I'm sorry. It's happened once before. If you remember that.
I
remember getting beat the crap out of.
I hate to see it,
Val
but
doesn't
I'm
remember
trying
this, but Jeremiah is loving this moment right now.
Oh, that's right. You were right there with me.
Well, I know.
Literally.
Well, but the problem is I'm trying to think of which time, because you know how many times I've been possessed by terrible things.
Well, that makes 2 of us.
So do you want to swig or no?
Is it rum?
Aye.
Oh, that's...
I'm sorry.
More for you.
That's fair enough. Oh, you can have a swig. This bottle is mine, and I'm keeping it for personal.
Is that the one with the lipstick on it?
But I will take my 2 silver back.
Sure.
Alright, fair enough. I'm sorry. To be fair, as I'm walking out, I realize, I didn't buy anything from him. That'll be fun later.
Right. So you finish your food, you have your evening's rest. Celiax has some disturbing dreams again, but you all wake up.
Well, I was out with Sarai.
You were out with Sarai, thank you. I had
I
forgotten.
was out walking with her, explaining essentially what.
Yeah, somebody's got to get some tonight. And
I was
yours failed.
I was explaining the whole where then and what's going on with the books and how what we're doing here and why we're here and the importance of the books and the trading and everything. So I was sort of explaining pretty much everything that's happened since I set out from Dragon Throne and giving her the rundown of all that. And then just asking, obviously, when we were younger, I had to leave. But how's everyone else doing? Haven't been able to see them, but
Well, we missed you. It wasn't the same after you left. By this point, she has led you to the beach and just walking up the coast a little bit. Moonlit stroll.
silver dragons like water.
Very much so. I mean, the classes were fine. Elias changed a little bit after you left.
Really? Also, for good or bad?
Good, I guess. I don't know, he got serious. More serious than he was.
Right, yeah.
I mean,
Smart one, that one.
always caught in his own head.
Mm-hmm. I know that worked. Could have ever become a scale bearer. I know that's something we were working towards.
When I left, he was in his final stages of training. He was going to be inducted soon.
Oh, that's wonderful. Good to hear that.
I was hoping, any day now, hoping to receive an invitation to the ceremony. Maybe it'll come while you're here, and then we can make the journey to support him, like a reunion. That'd be so nice. All of us together again.
It would be. Not sure if it would be achievable. You know how things are. As it's supposed to be, at least for now.
And you're gonna go away again.
Well, there's still things that have to be fixed. The church is not set on its right path, and Bahamut still requires that I do things.
Of course he does.
Missions to accomplish and whatnot. Whole reason I'm here. Great fun.
Blow in like the wind and out again the day later.
Well, we never
stop. I know.
Never asked for it, you know. That's not what we... Never asked to be the arbiter. That wasn't the plan. It was quite the opposite of what I was hoping to do. But, I mean, it's just... What do? Tell Bahamut no? Wasn't really an option.
I think that if anybody had to be chosen, it was good that it was you. I mean, can you imagine Crib?
Oh, that's...
I mean, no, we'd all be dead within a week.
Yeah, he's a brash individual, to be sure. Strong, though. Always was.
If there's anything I've learned working out here, it's strength only takes you so far.
It's very true. Very true. It's not something that you can always count on. Great for kicking down doors, but beyond that, not much else.
Sounds like there's a story there.
Well, there was. I kicked down a door, and...
And what did the poor door do to deserve this?
Well, we were looking for... what were we doing in there? something bad was going on, I'm sure, and there was the door that was closed, and I needed it in the other room, so I kicked it open, and unfortunately, there was nothing in there. What were we doing? I think that was the snakes.
Nope.
I don't remember.
Not the snakes.
You're not there. I don't remember what was going on, but anyways, I was in a tavern and kicked down a door.
I was gonna say, I actually are we crawling through the.
It happened, but so that was before. In my time with Bahamut, I can do some clericy things now.
Really?
Yes, I know, it's shocking.
You can.
Right, that was before that, so I couldn't, the whole mending thing, we put things, I didn't know that at the time, so I couldn't fix the door. Our dwarf friend, he took care of that.
He seems the crafty type.
He is, quite his axe, actually, he built that. It's quite impressive.
Really?
Yes, he's quite accomplished. But yeah, I actually did, before Val joined our party, we didn't really have any healers, or very many, so in my communing with Bahamut, he granted me at least a touch of a more healing nature. Calm me down some, you know. It was unexpected, but it's only a taste. It's very, very small. But time and where we were at demanded it, made a necessity, and Bahamut grant that knowledge to me. So that was interesting.
Interesting indeed. I've got to be honest. I laugh at the thought a little bit of you as a healer. That was never.
Yeah, you and me both. That's not. I brought somebody back from the dead. That was terrifying.
I bet.
Yeah. Wasn't.
How did that?
Well, it was during the whole vampire thing.
Right.
Acid steps. We had a halfling druid friend with us.
Oh no.
She is alive. She's with there's a clan of druids next to Stillwater. She's staying with them now. But yeah, she went up the steps, and then I chased after her, and she died halfway up. I carried her down, and we found a revivify scroll, and I was able to read that off, and she came back.
Wow.
Right, yeah. Never thought that I'm not supposed to do stuff like that. That's what you're here for. But yeah, it's been an interesting adventure so far. Not at all what I expected it to be. Yeah.
I'm glad you're taking care of yourself.
Well, somebody has to.
If I'm not there to do it.
This is true. This is true. Well, it's been. I'm a troublemaker.
You're an instigator.
Well, I suppose we should probably be heading back. We have undead to deal with tomorrow.
I suppose so. I can. Overnight, if you like, I can imbue a scroll or I don't know what. Is there anything you need that I could help?
Oh, we can take care of. Just one thing we always need more of is healing.
Well,
if you have something, potions or anything like that, no, sure. We have Val. He is he's actually a cleric, so he can help with the bringing of things back in case one of us, bites it.
Oh, does he also serve Bahamut?
No, Cyanine. The moon.
Yes, I'm familiar.
Right, so, he's not... he's alright. Weird thing with death, though. It's quite interesting. Does this weird death thing. Cycle, he says it's a cycle, and... things that die should be used, and not all death is bad, and, we can...
That sounds very odd.
It is, but, he seems to be, alright with it. Yeah, so
We have a very small stash of potions at the temple. You're welcome to anything.
We don't want to, take away all of your supply, but I'll take a look.
We can restock. I mean, it'll be fine.
It would be very nice if you don't mind.
Certainly. Let's head back. I'll show you where they are.
That'd be good. Let's go back.
You hear from down the beach.
Get it, boy!
That's birds, those seagulls. Go back this time of year.
They're awful, yeah.
Right?
Rats with wings.
So you go ahead and you head back to the temple, and she brings out the small stash that they have, which is 2 greater and 2 common healing potions. And then there's also a potion of cold resistance that she offers you.
Oh, thank you. We will see what I can do with this, and I will put them in the bag. Cool. Well, thank you. So tomorrow then, I'll see you in the morning, I suppose.
Tomorrow then.
He's not that. She's sure.
Right. Wonderful to see you. We're not there.
It's good to see you too, Sonics. Good night. She reaches up and gives you a kiss on the cheek, and then bolts.
Aww.
That was 2 regular, 2 greater?
Yes.
Cool.
Wow, way to just brush it off. Horrible person.
Right? Alright, well, I will go to bed.
Right. Now you go to bed. And now your sleep is unsettled. Perhaps for more than one reason. Entirely up to you.
Think? Maybe? No.
While I'm reading,
Yes.
I'd like to just change Jojo into lizard form, and then if I have time, we can eat and rest time just work on starting to play with attaching divisions to my memory.
Okay. Go ahead and make an intelligence check.
I do have it.
It's 15.
15. Alright, you start playing with it. You realize it's going to be a process and it's going to take some time, but you feel like you're getting a grasp on the foundation that you'll need to set.
Cool.
Excuse me.
Work with
Should I mark it down progress or should we try to hit?
I'll go ahead and get you something this week. Way to mark that.
Awesome. Thanks.
And you wanted to play with Nightbane?
Mm-hmm. If possible.
Where would you like to do this?
If we're all asleep, and probably be outside the temple, because I don't think it would be the most respectful.
Possibly. There's a small garden in the back, and it's fairly small. There's a larger courtyard at the front of the temple, sort of adjacent to the street. And then there's an area in the street itself. Or you could go a little ways up the road into, get out of town, essentially.
Well, the garden would be just fine.
Okay.
Because it's not something big and crazy, so.
Alright, so you go ahead and you work in the garden. Make your check. So still working on finishing guard?
Yes. Oh, good night. It's gonna be another 7.
Still, like, you've got the foundation of the skill with him, but he's easily distractible. He is just not quite getting that proficiency that you want.
When I'm getting ready for bed, I put, putting all my stuff away. I get to the Azer hammer. Can I look at that again?
Go ahead and make another intelligence check.
Blue again.
That's got my.
Nope. That was worse than last time. So 7.
Alright, so you'll all go to bed.
Blue brain.
Wake up the next morning. Refreshed. Long rest is taken care of.
Alright, time for breakfast.
Time to pick spells.
Right?
A little
I would
bit.
say prepare yourself. I'm thinking we head to the clearing straight away.
I'm gonna
This is
move
taken care
one
of.
of my Thanks to a different spot.
Okay.
I'm going to find Hubbard. Say Hubbard. Go talk to Sarai about any information that she might be able to give you to help you track this thing. She knows a little bit more about it, so I told her that you would come talk to her before we set off after whatever this undead thing is. There seems to be a lot of those.
Yes. I'll go find her. You happen to know where she might be?
This early in the morning, she could be in the garden or praying somewhere. She's around the temple, I would imagine.
I'll go out to the garden, see if she's out there.
She's not in the garden, but with investigating a little bit. Yes?
I'll ask later because I wouldn't distract myself. Go ahead.
Okay. Investigating a little bit, you do find her in the main temple area, in a sort of meditative pose. There's a couple of candles in front of her, and she seems to be praying.
What time is it, and how close is everyone seeing?
It's fairly early. Y'all didn't have a terribly late night last night, so it's probably about 7 or so in the morning, shortly after sunrise.
And the rest of the crew is still getting things ready to go?
Yeah.
I'll wait a few minutes and see if she concludes. If she doesn't, then...
Getting things ready to go. Within a couple of minutes, she finishes up, moves the candles, puts them back on their stands, rises. Halberd, was it?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. Good to
Good
see
morning.
you again.
You as well. Can I help you?
I believe you might be able to. You've had interaction with this creature that we're going to go interact with today. I believe it was, a Rusalka?
Yeah, that does seem to be what it calls itself. I haven't seen or heard much of anything else like it.
What can you tell me about it with your interactions and your dealings?
It's definitely undead. It takes the form of a woman, and she lures people to the pond and tries to drown them.
That sounds fantastic.
It's certainly unpleasant. She seems to have an uncanny ability to control the water there. It's not just the pond there, but there seems to be some sort of malevolent presence that her presence there seems to be spreading. A number of trees near the pond have died, and the grass won't grow around it anymore. It's withering, I guess, is probably the best word. And it's slowly spreading.
Have there been any other forms of undead or anything like that, or is it just her?
We've hallowed the graveyards nearby to prevent any other intrusions.
Good.
I have heard stories in the last couple of weeks of other villages that weren't so cautious that are dealing with ghosts, and there's rumor of awful things.
Mm-hmm.
Just unnatural things.
I've heard on my journeys in the same things that aren't used to this world. It's not normal. We're hoping we might be able to help restore some sort of balance or presence. It used to be.
Come back, Jordan!
Around this area, is there anything that you could tell us that might allow us to have a better advantage? Anything that we might be able to use the terrain to our benefit? Because I don't know, as you talk about establishing a presence, the longer that goes, I know the harder it becomes. And we've already had to deal with that before. I'd like to know if there's anything you might be able to inform us about. As they make that ground their own, might we be able to make it our own in some way?
I can certainly reclaim it after she's gotten rid of. I can sanctify the ground and hallow it.
She's a flow.
There you go.
I didn't.
You could have.
Now I know how to ignore it.
Unfortunately, anything that I can do now is she's going to be undoing.
When you've tried to cast her out and send her away.
I can't do it on my own.
Far beyond.
Unfortunately, beyond my personal capabilities.
Are you the only one in this temple here maintaining it?
Now I am, yes. There are a few acolytes, but I'm the most senior. When I was posted here, it was due to the passing of the previous cleric. Old age, entirely natural, but it brought me here.
One can never quite know where the paths in life will take you. I'm curious, do you happen to have, and I hate to intrude, so please, if I am, please tell me, do y'all happen to have holy water or something like that we might have? My experiences have said that that has been very beneficial and effective.
Unfortunately, we used a significant portion of our stock in our first attempt to clear the pond. I'm familiar with the process of making more. I just haven't had the time or the resources lately.
Completely understandable. No, that certainly helps out a lot. Do you know, does it seem to be phased, makes itself known at a specific time of day?
She seems strongest at night.
Avoid the night time.
We've advised most of the town, especially the men, to stay within the city limits.
Especially the men.
Her favorite enemy. I don't know what she does. She lures them in. Gets inside their minds somehow.
It did not sound fun.
Don't look at me like that.
I just don't want to be possessed again. I'm not gonna
lie. Right?
Every time we've had something that can possess characters, she always possesses me.
Anyway, all I can say, 600 feet range. No, yeah.
I got you.
I believe it's best for us to head out then. I thank you so very much. Soliax.
Oh, I didn't realize I was here.
You're not.
I'm pretty sure I'm not. Yes?
You two go way back.
We were in training together.
Where was that?
At Dragon Throne.
Is that the heart of this land? Is that...
It's a fair ways south of here. It's the heart of the worship of Bahamut. The High Priest resides there, and that's where the vast majority of the training is done for those like Soliax and myself who dedicate ourselves to his service.
How long has it been?
Since I left?
Since you two have seen each other?
6 years. And a bit.
It's always good to catch up with an old friend, isn't it?
Always.
Well, we'll do our best to bring him back.
Bring all of you back.
We certainly hope no one does anything stupid on this mission.
Well,
but we oftentimes don't come through until need drives us. So
he looks directly at me.
Right.
No.
I'm not there.
I'm avoiding looking at somebody else.
You've not fought with me, so...
I'll pray for your success.
Well, that is always appreciated. I might pick your brain about some dragon things when I return, if that might be alright with you. But
Certainly.
until then, ma'am, I'll go meet and relay with the rest of the boys what I discovered. So if you're a guy, you might want to not come on this mission. Oh wait, never mind. Yeah, be aware of the water. It seems like she really likes to drown people.
So they,
And the forest and the woods around seem to be shriveling, so there's some sort of control that's being taken place.
would you say they're possessed or charmed or something like that?
Moving, probably, she's got some sort of favoured enemy against men.
Might I suggest something?
I'm always ears to your suggestions, my friend.
Send me in first, because I have a way of not being charmed or possessed.
That makes two of us.
Alright.
Good.
Can you share some of that?
I'll walk over and just put my finger right on his forehead.
It lasts for 10 minutes.
And I'll go... Nope.
I'm not actually sure if you can. Is it self or is it...
No, mine is racial.
You what?
Mine is a racial ability.
But you should have... You should have the actual spell.
Which one?
Protection. Yeah, no, I have an actual spell that keeps me from being able to be possessed.
I just have advantages on the wazoo.
I'm also... I am super wise in my saving throws and my charisma, so...
Let's say when we approach, I'll stay a little bit far.
But I'll go...
I operate best far.
Right. Why don't I'll go in the front. You stay behind. You go in the middle. The reason I say me front is because I physically cannot be charmed.
Well, that's
once we get close,
helpful.
I'll cast a spell on me, and I cannot be charmed, frightened, or possessed.
I'll keep Nightbane with me just in case something around the woods starts coming alive.
Physically charmed would be magically charmed.
It's whatever it is.
I know.
So
let's start moving that way.
You have the directions in your noggin?
I'll take point until we get there, and then
Right.
I'll bow to your lead.
Let's do it then. To the woods.
Alright.
Oh yeah.
Into the woods.
Home before dark.
Over the garden wall.
Yes, we do need to make it a point to try to leave and not be there.
In and out before dark.
It's still fairly early in the day, and it's not that far away. You retrace your steps.
We're done before breakfast.
Halberd, make a survival check.
Or die.
Okay, green or blue?
Why not both? Because you do it with advantage once you get into this little wooded grove.
I like the way she thinks. Ooh, blue.
23.
23. You find the path you took yesterday easily. You find the little trail that Isra had mentioned, and you follow it, and you find the maple, and you turn north, and you find where the trees have started dropping leaves. You find a pond that you hear...
At this point, once we find the trees that start dropping leaves, protection from evil and good.
Okay.
And I will start walking out, grab Howard and be like, I believe this is where I should be walking. Which direction are we going?
I'm gonna motion. I get the sense that the pond that I was told about is up in the
about
clearing.
200 paces away.
Okay. I will start walking in that direction then.
Right.
I'll try to keep everybody within that, I can't remember, 30 or 60 feet of me, and just mention this woman, they say class we were in, just do yourselves and keep in mind the things that are constant for you. I'll start using my counter charm, just long neck, ass will be and never grow down.
Keep them within your range. I will be ahead of them outside of his singing.
Right. The leaves crackle under your feet and release a scent of mold and decay. You hear the water. It should be moving, but you smell something stagnant, something foul. The air starts to get a little cool, a little damp. And you hear faint giggles in the distance.
Under his breath doors as a curse word.
Hello? Giggling one in the water.
Is there a spot where you feel the cold grip within a certain range of the pond?
Make a perception check.
You didn't prepare it today, did you?
I'm trying to find
14.
14? You're unable to
think that's
pinpoint
one of
it
mine.
exactly, but within about 100 feet or so. It's fairly small.
Oh, that's
As
why.
you approach, you see a...
Back a little ways.
You see a female form with long dark hair, dripping water, in a long dress, and you see she's sitting on the branches over the pond.
Divine sense.
You strongly sense undead.
That one? Okay, cool.
War, axe, shield.
I mean, I'm probably a good 30 feet ahead of you guys.
Well, I head back
Right.
from the group,
You're-
ways closer to that edge of the cold.
Like, so the group is around Quesator, who's chanting. I'm probably 30 feet ahead, and you're probably 30 feet behind. So just
Okay.
spatial awareness.
60 to
And I will cast flame arrows on my critter.
Alright, go ahead and mark that off.
Can I? Oh, he's got
So,
a hand crossbow, doesn't he?
Yes. Bolts, not arrows.
So this one is singing in front of me. This one is singing or something.
Swinging her legs back and forth, back and forth.
Are you the lady of the water here?
Some call me that.
Wonderful.
Who are you?
Oh, you don't know who I am?
Oh, but you're going to tell me.
Oh, I don't think I want to. I want you to guess.
Oh, we're making it a game.
Games are always fun.
Games are fun.
Slowly walking up behind
I
Sawyer.
suggest you come play a little closer. And she casts suggestion on you. And because you have your protection from good and evil, it does absolutely nothing.
I suggest you guess my name.
Oh, you're interesting.
I do try.
As soon as I get up to him, I'm casting guidance.
She makes a move to try to grab.
I'm probably 10 feet away from her.
Yeah.
10 feet or so.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So.
And she's still up in her tree, looking down. And, oh, at least give me a hint.
Well, let's see here. Starts with an S. And it is known in some circles.
It starts with an S.
Or it starts with an A, depending on who you are.
Oh, an A or an S?
That took me way too long to realize what he was talking.
It's because he's
You don't seem like a Suriel. You don't seem like an Avinar. Let's see. Oh, what will you give me if I get it right?
Well, I suppose. What would someone who sits in a tree singing want?
I want a kiss.
Not sure I can help you with that. You see, the dragon, the way the dragon face is shaped, it's not very conducive for that.
Oh, we can make it work.
I'm sure, but I do not believe you'll be able to guess it correctly.
An S and an A.
Now my question for you, since you asked me one, is what are you doing here? This doesn't look like your home.
Oh, but it is. I live close by.
Does she look like Isra?
Hmm?
Does she look like Isra?
She does look like Isra. Not an exact copy. Her hair is a little darker, her skin's a little paler, her clothes are a similar color scheme but muted. And you notice that even when she's swinging her legs, her dress is still in the water. There's some part of her, a sleeve, the hem, something always maintaining that contact.
Now I wonder, the tree here you're sitting in seems nice, but the tree is not your home.
The tree is not my home.
And the ground is not your home.
Oh, not this ground, no.
Oh. I wonder, is the water your home? O Lady of the Water.
My home is in the water. Would you like to see?
I'm not one for swimming myself, personally.
Oh, but it's so nice.
I'm sure it is a very nice home.
It's cool.
If it is so nice, why would you leave it?
Oh, but it's always more adventuresome out here.
Adventures can also have their dangers. Do you not fear danger?
Danger just spices things up sometimes.
Not wrong. But do you fear?
Doesn't everyone fear something?
Those who are alive can know fear, but those who are dead, not necessarily.
Looking around, do I see any other movement like she's distracting us?
Make a perception check.
22.
You do notice. I will text you.
Oh boy.
Oh dear.
Oh boy, whisper.
Oh boy.
Cross country whisper.
She didn't like it when I called her dead.
She did not like it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry, give me just a minute.
You're good.
This would be time for random words with
More
Doran.
random words.
Random words with Doran.
No, I don't have the website up. Oh, there it is. Market. Improve. Lock it. Plausible. Challenge.
I think the real challenge here should be, can you give a definition to each word?
I could, but I don't want to. I just want to say words in silly ways. Society. Impress. Drag. Work. No, these are boring words. Give me more better words. Malicious. That one's fitting. Right? Railway.
Less fitting.
Done fitting with the
Education.
Sent it your way, Jordan.
Shiny.
Yeah, I just saw it come through. Can I say one hand and fire across over her, and the other hand grabs so you get back?
You may do that at that point.
I am way too far ahead of you.
Actually,
We all walked up.
No.
No, I was the one that walked up.
I specifically told you guys not to walk up because she can enchant you guys. I'm up there because I'm immune to her.
As
Okay.
as
I'm
yeah.
definitely going to turn you to be when we cross. I'll start here anyway.
Okay, yeah.
Then I will shoot at the tentacles.
alright. Real quick. Make your attack roll. We'll see whether it hits, and then we are going to start the next session at that point.
Tentacles?
Alright. You fire your crossbow.
I swear
It
for
thumps
goodness
into the tree
Oh.
next to her. She looks down at it. She looks at you. Her visage changes horribly. She gets this awful grimace on her face, shrieking out this shrill, awful sound. And we will pick up there.
I was gonna ask her where she lives! I was to add questions!
I don't have enough rum for this.
Yes.
You hit the tree.
on that?
Okay, for the tentacles. We'll still say you hit the tree.
It's a natural
You got one.
It's a natural one.
Since I had my bow ready and I said it twice.
You had your bow ready. You had not. That was because he had particularly noticed the.
I said when she would like jump and changed, I would have shot.
So you would have shot as soon as her visage changed, essentially.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll keep that in account for the start of next session.
And just as a side note, as I shot, I just say subjects on the ground.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and we'll say that when he draws your attention to it, you do see very thin tendrils of water streaming from the pond, sliding along the ground, like long skeletal fingers almost reaching and trying to grab you.
Dude, it's the water temple. Water temple's always the worst.
Water temple, no good.
Good job. Good session. That sucked.
Oh man, that was fun.
Man, that was not.
Yeah, it was really good. Thanks, y'all, for joining us for this section of the adventure. We will go ahead and pick up with a battle at the start of next week. Enjoy your week, be kind to each other, and we will see you then. Bye.
Oh my gosh. You kidding me?
Butts.